Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 150.
Welcome back to another exciting episode of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Ben. Joining me this evening, Frankie, Bender. Gentlemen, say hello to the people.
Hello.
Hello.
So, first and foremost, Brent not with us this evening. Brent had a something pop up before the show, so he wasn't able to hop on with us tonight. As such, we won't have a video version of the podcast this week as well. Does Brent produces all that kind of stuff, so when he's not here, we're unable to get that video for you guys. We will still have the show up on YouTube. It just won't have the our smiling mugs that you're used to. So fear not, if you do listen to us on YouTube or follow us on YouTube, there will be a podcast on there. It just won't be the normal video version of it. It'll just basically be audio only. So but if you listen to us on SoundCloud or iTunes or any of that kind of stuff, hey, no worse for the wear this week. So, got Bender here, and then we got this other strange guy who wandered into the podcast studio this week. Frankie, where the hell have you been, man? What's going on?
Man, aging hasn't been as fun as anyone would think. So, like Brent mentioned a couple weeks ago, I'm 30 now, so that sucks.
Big 3-0. Yep. It's doesn't get any better from here, man.
Nope. Didn't. Kind of limped into this year. So, but yeah, I mean, outside of that, I literally done nothing but play a lot of Monster Hunter since I've been gone, and I finished a couple other games too. I got my platinum trophy, my first one for the year in Pyre, so that was really great. Really loved that game. It was really fun. So, really happy to add that one to the collection. So wasn't one of my planned games for the Platinums this year, but I'll take it. I also played through the Fall Part 2, so the review's up on the site now.
It is.
I really love the story in that game, but if you read the review, I have some kind of issues with some of the gameplay changes that they made, namely with Arid. I really like the combat that they have in there for the One, that character. He's like a mech suit, and it's cool because when you walk around with him, he holds his hand out, kind of like Iron Man, and his hands like his flashlight. So he's navigating with his hand. I thought that was pretty cool. But his combat's actually very much I don't know if any of you guys played that Kung Fury game that came out a couple years ago. It's just basically like you hit left and right to punch waves that are coming at you from both sides. So it's more trying to figure out like, okay, well, you're trying to combo ahead. Like, okay, well, I got two guys coming this way. This guy's, I need 2 hits for him. This is one of the guys that you punch and they switch the sides and you got to switch. So it's really more, keeping like a pattern in mind while you're doing it and trying to stay a step ahead. So having that in there was really cool. It was a nice change up to the combat. And then of course there's the other two the other companion bots that are they're not they don't get in any fights or anything like that. So you're like the butler's all about sticking to his routine and making sure that the house is maintained. And then you have the companion who she kind of, she's there to help people and she wants people to feel good. So she's, really good at listening and, kind of using information that she learns to, find solutions to problems and, whatnot. So, really cool game. A lot of really great things about it. And in a lot of ways, it's definitely a huge improvement over the first game. It's just a lot of the stuff they maintained with Arid, namely her combat. It's just, I really didn't like it. It made me miss the old, kind of like, duck and shoot stuff from the first game. So, overall, though, I still think it's a great game. If you are a fan of The Fall, you're looking for a good sci-fi story, The Fall 2 is really, really good in that aspect. So, looking forward to see what they do with the third game. Hopefully, they can tighten some of that stuff up that I didn't really care for. Yeah, but then, like I said, I'm 95 hours into Monster Hunter. That is insane. I can't. I'm in shock of how much of that game I played myself. So.
I don't even think I have 95 hours in Destiny 2 yet, and I play that game every single moment I get. So that's pretty incredible, man.
Yeah. So that's still more than that I put into The Witcher last year at this time. So that's again freaking ridiculous. But needless to say, I'm hooked on that game though. Bender and I have been playing it a lot this past week, 2 weeks now, I think. So we've been hopping in there every night, and it's cool because I feel like even though a lot of the times you're doing the same hunts, you're going after the same monsters. Like each time, you're after new parts so you can craft better weapons. As you've progressed, I think the game's done very well at kind of pacing the way it introduces new monsters. Some of them that show up later on are kind of lame, to say the least. I don't want to spoil too much because I was telling Bender, we actually streamed one of the missions the other night on the YouTube page, but there's this mission where you're hunting this monster and then you finally find it, and it's just what it is so disappointing. I was telling Bender, I was like, no, I'm not. I want to hear like the sigh of disappointment when you see what this thing is after tracking it for 2 hours. So, but that stuff's always like, combated with, oh, well, after that, you're going to go to a new area and there's all kinds of new monsters you're going to encounter now. You're constantly looking for new materials, trying to figure out what materials you're looking for. Because as you're getting higher up the upgrade tree, you're not totally sure what parts you need. And it's not even necessarily just monster parts. Some of the stuff's like ore. There's other parts from other smaller creatures that you can go and kill and harvest. So I feel like no matter what you're doing, like even if you're going back and helping friends, like you're still progressing somehow. Whether you're going back helping friends, you're getting either parts. You might encounter a small or a big one to get one of the crowns that you need. So needless to say, like I said, 95 hours, and I still am just absolutely in love with that game.
Yeah, same here. And I gotta say, like before Monster Hunter came out, I didn't expect it to get its hooks into me the way it has at this point. Because before it came out, because my first encounter with a Monster Hunter game was Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate on the 3DS. I played that game a little bit, and I was like, this is cool, but it's not really my thing. I just stopped playing it. Yeah. But, so before this one came out, I was like, yeah, I'm going to get it, but I'm not super excited about it. But then after I started playing Monster Hunter World, it's just... yeah, I just want to keep playing it. It's like one of those games that you just keep thinking about. It's just so much fun to just hunt down these monsters, and you're constantly upgrading your gear, your weapons, and your armor, and you find new, bigger, badder monsters. They have ridiculous names, but Frankie and I have started calling some of them by naming some of them ourselves. Like there's one that we call Bowser. There's one that we call Yoshi. There's one that we call Photography Raptor.
Photography Raptor.
Yeah. So
he's a good guy.
It's a Rick and Morty reference, by the way. But yeah, we just like playing the game, and we have a lot of fun with it, and we're going to start streaming it more often. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun playing. It's usually Frankie and me and Jamie, and yeah, we're having a lot of fun with it when Jamie's not dying.
It's true. I think he accounts for about 80% of our deaths. So,
sounds about right.
I like razzing him. It's fun.
Yeah, it's good to hear. I have about 3 hours in Monster Hunter, so about 92 hours behind you guys, but
little ways to go.
Yeah, I just haven't been able to play it like you guys, so unfortunately it's been it's kind of fell by the wayside for me, but glad to hear you guys are having fun with it. So what is it about Monster Hunter that's hooked you guys? Have you finished the story, or like what where you guys at with that?
I haven't finished the story yet. I don't know what it is, if it's just like the gameplay loop, or like I said, kind of getting in there and you're hunting all these monsters, and as you kill more of them, you do more research on them, you learn more about them, you learn what weapons are effective, and you get new armor as you encounter new monsters too. So as you're upgrading to these higher tier things, like you have all these different pieces of gear. Now you can equip like charms. Like it just, the way that the game flows, the way it's constantly, even 90 hours in, introducing new stuff to mess around with and wrap my head around. I think it's just like, it's that drive to figure out like, okay, well, what if I do all this, like what's going to happen next? Because even still, like I still have a couple of slots that are question marks. I don't know what monsters they are. I haven't run into them yet, so I have no idea what to expect from them. And even like the new area, like I still going in there, like it's hard to fight those guys because to get better weapons, you have to like kill these monsters that are going to drop the parts to make those better weapons. So you're going in there, under leveled in a sense, trying to fight these things. And I just it's like that feeling of accomplishment, like taking down like like the giant Anjanath and like all these massive monsters that when you first encounter them, you run away and hide, or they hit you once and you're pretty much dead. So when you finally take down like your first Rathalos or the Diablos, or as you're progressing and running into some of these more bigger and more intimidating monsters that kill you a lot. Like there's one that we ran into a couple days ago. I think we're calling him Basil Goose. I don't know how to say his name, so we just call him Basil Goose. He sucks. He bombs you, so like he just drops bombs as he flies over you. So he sucks, and we haven't really figured out how to tackle him yet. So it's just like those moments when you overcome, like it's kind of for me. It's kind of like that feeling in Destiny when you finally completed, one of the like something like Skolas, to a lesser degree, when you finally just accomplish this thing that you've been working at for a while, and figuring out a strategy, and finally getting in there and conquering it. Like it's that feeling. Like that Monster Hunter is just full of that for me. So that's what I'm in love with.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like it's a combination of the constant sense of progression, because you're always upgrading something and you're always getting a little bit stronger incrementally as you go. As Frankie mentioned, the feeling of triumph when you finally defeat something that was like the first time you encounter a monster, you may get murdered by it in a few seconds. Then you upgrade your gear, you go find some other stuff, you upgrade your gear, you come back and try it again, and then you finally beat it, and it's just a great feeling. But all of that combined with just the gameplay and the battling is just so exciting. It's so much fun. Like when a huge monster is like charging right at you, you just dodge out of the way right at the right time. It's just really thrilling. I like the variations of weapons. I mean, you can there's different weapons, whatever play style you have that you want. If you're a ranged type, you can use a bow and arrow or a gun lance or something. If you're a heavy type who wants to be able to knock the monster over, you could use a big hammer or a great sword. I like the insect glaive, which is basically like a staff that you can swing around to attack, but you can also use it as like a pole vault to vault yourself into the air, and you can dash midair, and you can mount the monster a lot easier. And once you're on top of the monster, you're just stabbing him repeatedly in the back, or like you can move over to his head and just like stab him in the eye, and you can knock him over, and then that gives everyone else a chance to just come up and wail on him. You can, if you don't want to kill the monster, you can capture the monster. You can set a trap, like a pitfall trap, and they'll fall in the ground. Then you can throw a tranq bomb down, and they'll fall asleep, and you capture them. And there's just different types of ways to approach each encounter, and it's just a lot of fun. I mean, we're just having a blast playing the game and making up silly names for the monsters.
Yeah, I think too one of my favorite things is they have the turf wars. So other monsters will come in, and sometimes, and all the time, they chase down Jamie, so it's fine. So, Bender and I will just chase after Jamie, who's got two monsters chasing after him. But, sometimes they actually just start fighting each other. And I think that one of the first times that we beat the Anjanath, I think all of us, there was the Rathalos in there who's the big flying guy who shoots fire. Like, he'll go in and start fighting the Anjanath, and he just knocks him right off a cliff. And I know, like, for Jamie and myself, like, that was enough to wound him, so he started limping after that. Like, which is fine with me, because when you first fight him, he's a big T-Rex. He's hard as hell. So I remember like just the first couple days playing that game, hearing like Brent talking about the Anjanath, and then us finally trying to fight that thing. And now it's one of those monsters that we can run across, and we can hold our own against it, capture him, and kick his ass. But the first couple times, you kind of hope that, okay, well maybe that Rathalos will swoop back in and kick his ass for me, so I don't have to do it. So. But yeah, I think that stuff's really fun.
Yeah, that makes the world feel more alive. Also, I think when you're fighting one monster, another huge monster will come in, just start attacking that one, and they'll both attack you. Sometimes you have to kind of get out of the way or hide in the grass and just let them fight.
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know when that's going to happen, and that just, like I said, that makes the world just feel more alive and everything, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Yeah, well, sounds like I said, you guys are enjoying the game, so that's awesome. Glad to hear that. Hopefully I'll be able to get in there and play a little bit more in the near future. Anything else you've been up to, Frankie?
Not really. Just started buying a bunch of games again because I'm dumb and don't
Sweet.
stick to New Year's resolutions. So I got a whole pile of games here. I got like Kingdom Come I still haven't opened because I like wasting money on things I'm not going to play right away. So
Yeah.
good old habits.
It's an epidemic running through the Short Paws offices here. Cool. Yeah, so sounds great, man. Glad to have you back after an extended hiatus there.
Mm-hmm.
So
Good to be
welcome back.
Thank you.
Welcome back to the fun and frivolity. Bender, how about you, man? What else you been up to? Obviously, you've been playing Monster Hunter, but what else?
Mm-hmm.
What else you been toying with?
Different things. I downloaded Owlboy on the Switch.
Cool.
And I played a little bit of it today, not a whole lot, but I played it for about an hour or so. Got enough to get through like the first boss.
An hour.
Seems pretty cool. I like the music and the visual style and everything, and the gameplay seems good. I'm having a little trouble wrapping my mind around the combat a little bit because like Owlboy doesn't really attack so much by himself. Like he has a spin attack, but he can just like stun enemies with it. But like the way the game works is like you pick up a friend and carry him around, and then you're like the first friend you get, he has like a little gun that he shoots, and you just have to kind of fly around with him and shoot the gun and everything. And I'm having trouble like hitting enemies because it's just weird having to fly and shoot at the same time. So I don't know. Maybe it's something I just need to practice at, but it's kind of weird at first. But for the most part, I am enjoying the game. I do want to get more into it and check it out. The story seems interesting so far, so it seems pretty cool. So I'll have more to talk about that after I play some more, get some more time in it. But I like it so far.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, after only an hour, still kind of getting the feel for it, getting into it and everything. So yeah, be curious to hear your thoughts on that as well. I was planning to play Owlboy. That was the game we were supposed to feature on the Indie Spotlight, and then was it D-Pad Studio or whoever is I forget the name of the developer. I think it's D-Pad Studio. But yeah, they just pulled a fast one on us and just yanked the PS4 and Xbox One version out from under our clutches, and only released the Switch version. So it was really weird. They kind of at the 11th hour, they're just like, hey, the release date for the PS4 and Xbox One is to be announced. Like, okay, well, what about the one you announced 3 months ago? So yeah, so it was very strange, but yeah, still no update on when we can expect Owlboy for the PS4 and Xbox One. So yeah, so as soon as that hits PS4, I'll be grabbing that one because I'm really looking forward to that one. Anything else you've been playing, Bender? And then you said you got a few other things you've been playing with.
I haven't played too much more Shadow of the Colossus, but I do want to get back to that, because that game's awesome, obviously. And I played a little bit of Split Second today on the Xbox because it was an Xbox Games with Gold for February. Just played the first few races and the first couple of eliminations, and man, that game is so much fun. As far as racing games go, like I think I've said it before, but it's after Burnout, it's probably my favorite. It's a lot of fun. You there's a lot of drifting going on, and once you build up your power meter, you can trigger these moves to like drop bombs on enemies or like make a truck back up or cause explosions, all kinds of things. Because you're supposed to be like a stunt driver on a TV show or something. Yeah. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. That game is really cool. I think I'm gonna try to get some more time in with that one, play it again. But because I played it before, but it's been a while. But that game is really, really cool.
Yeah, no doubt. We've talked about Split Second on the show before. But yeah, that's one of my favorite racing games of all time. It's one of my favorite platinums I got in the collection. Was a lot of fun getting that one. So yeah, that's an awesome game. Yeah, if you have not played Split Second, grab that on Games with Gold right now and play that game because it is sweet.
Servers are gone, right? So that platinum's not obtainable anymore.
I don't know.
Probably not. I don't know.
It's possible.
Yeah, I thought they were one of the GameSpy servers, so they're probably gone.
Could be.
I'm jealous. I wanted that platinum so bad.
It was a lot of fun to get, man. It was really I was hooked on that game. Like when I was playing that game and trying to get the trophies in it, like I was just couldn't put it down.
Yeah, I remember because it came out the same day as Red Dead Redemption, and I I played
Did
Red
it?
Dead a couple hours and then popped in Split Second. I played Split Second all night. I fell in love with that game immediately.
Yeah, yeah. Split Second is just really really good. Doing a quick fact check on the Split Second servers here. See what we're looking at.
Man, if they're still up, I gotta hop back in that thing. It'd be kind of strange if they did a Games with Gold game with the servers gone. I mean, no, the single player is still really good, but
I don't see anything in here about the servers being down. We have definitely weren't part of the GameSpy because I see on PlayStation Trophies here that they have a boost request as late as August 11th, 2017. Don't see any official word in here about the servers, so they appear to still be up.
Shoot. All right, well, maybe I'll get back in there soon-ish. I want that platinum.
Yeah, if you need somebody to race with, man, let me know. I'll pop in Split Second and run around the track with you.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so awesome. Glad you're firing that one up, Bender. That is just a sweet game, man. Devastated that we never got another Split Second. That was it was such a cool game. Anything else you been up to, man? Or is that pretty much it?
That's pretty much it for this week. Yeah.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. So obviously I alluded to earlier that we didn't get to play Owlboy on the Spotlight, so we had to put something in there. So we actually fired up Pinstripe on the Tuesday night Indie Spotlight. Man, I really liked Pinstripe from what I played. It was really really good. Obviously we streamed it for about an hour, so I haven't played through the whole game yet. But that hour I played, I really really liked. The art style is incredible. It's clearly inspired by like Tim Burton, Nightmare Before Christmas, Coraline, that kind of look. So love the art style of the game. It's super smooth and polished. Like it's clear that man, the guy's name escapes me now, but Thomas Brush. He's been working on this. He's kind of another one of these one man developer shows. He's been working on this game for the past 5+ years. And it's clear that he's put his like heart and soul into this game, and he's really like polished it to a T. But the game just runs beautifully. It looks beautiful. The presentation is just phenomenal. The voice acting's awesome. Love Pinstripe's voice, who's like this weird, creepy character that you're kind of tracking throughout the game. The little girl who your daughter that you're trying to find, her voice acting's good. Just all the crazy kooky characters you meet in this insane version of hell that Thomas Brush has created here. It's the music is awesome. It's just all around presentation just excellent in this game. I liked the puzzles that we came across. They weren't too difficult, but they also weren't too easy as well. I thought they found a good balance early on. Brent has his full review of Pinstripe on the website right now, so you can check that out on there if you're curious to see his kind of global thoughts on it. But right off the bat, my first impressions, I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. It's really really good. I definitely want to get in there and finish it because I know it's not a long game from what Brent was saying. But I was really impressed with Pinstripe, man. I had a ton of fun with that one. And then other than that, played some Destiny this week too when I had a chance. But that's pretty much it. Didn't get a chance to get into too much other stuff. Hopefully tomorrow I can get some gaming time in with some other stuff. But yeah, that's gonna do it in terms of what we've been playing. Frankie, we got a big old new release list though, so let's hop in there, man.
That we do. All right, let's kick off with the stuff that we missed last week. Machine Knight. This is a Kemco published turn-based fantasy RPG that's available on the 3DS now, alongside RTO2, which is only playable on the new 3DS family of platforms, much like its prior game. Escape Trick 35 Fateful Enigmas is an escape game on the Switch where you're looking around your environment for items to help you escape each room you find yourself in. Arcade Archives Neo Geo The Last Blade 2 is an SNK 2D fighting game that's available now on Xbox One. Lego Marvel Superheroes 2 got its Black Panther movie character and level pack alongside the movie's release last week, which I know you were a big fan of that movie, so it's cool. I want to hop into this game here.
Yeah, but I should probably mention that as well. Did get a chance to go see Black Panther Thursday night. Movie's freaking awesome, man. Really, really loved Black Panther. So it was a great superhero movie. It was a great interpretation of that character, of that franchise. Like a lot of the classic Black Panther cast of characters is in that movie, and they're really really good versions of those characters. So yeah, it was an awesome movie. Loved it.
Yeah, I can't wait to go see that next week. Heard nothing but good things about it. So
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, man. Ton of fun.
yeah, awesome. Need for Speed Payback got its free room update, which adds all drive, which basically adds it so that you can just cruise around Fortune City. I think is that what it is? Fortune City, Fortune Valley.
Yeah, Fortune City or Valley, one of those.
Yeah, Fortune something.
Fortune something.
Yeah, so you can cruise around with your friends or just other racers. So I think there's also some other just general gameplay tweaks. So if you're playing Need for Speed Payback, check that one out now. And lastly, this is actually an interesting one. This is an update that hit for The Evil Within 2 last week. It added a first-person mode to the game, so I guess if you're looking for a reason to jump back in, check that free update out on the PS4 and Xbox One. I'd be curious to check that out, because that game's kind of like the camera angles in The Evil Within drive me insane, so it might be a little more accessible in first-person mode. But
is this the whole game in first person?
So it sounded like, yeah.
Really? That's bizarre.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Because obviously different design principles from a third person and first person perspective. Seems crazy that you could just change the perspective like that, and that the game wouldn't change significantly because of it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. I don't know if maybe it'd even be more intense in first person, just because you kind of lose, being able to see around corners and.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Interesting though. If you check that out, let us know how it is. Podcast@yourpause.com. So that'll bring us into our Spyro releases. The first one I want to start off with is going to be The Station. This one's set on I don't know if it's an abandoned research station, but you're essentially set on a research station orbiting a newly discovered hostile alien planet, and you're sent to investigate why the station's gone radio silent. So the gameplay seems to be focused on using your AR HUD that your suit provides, so that you can, find items to solve puzzles and, discover clues and, kind of gain an understanding of what happened and why all communications have ceased from the research center. Bender, I want to come to you first. I know you and I, we played Tacoma last year. Really excellent, space station exploration game. This one seems to be a little more, I don't know if like mature themed version of that, but you have any interest in this one?
Perhaps. I haven't really looked into it. But if it's anything like Tacoma, I mean, I would definitely at least look into it and see if it's something that I might like to check out, because that game was awesome. But yeah, it seems like it's something that could be cool.
Yeah, I'm interested in it too. I really like Tacoma a lot, so just like that kind of eerie, what's going on here, what's going to happen. I think I like games like that. But Ben, this is a first-person, sci-fi exploration game. I know this is something, kind of right up your alley. You like these types of games. The developers have said that they're working on a VR mode right now as well. That should be coming not too long after launch, hopefully. But is this something that you think, you would want to wait for that VR version to come out to check out, or is this something that you think would be okay as it is without VR?
Yeah, that the first thought that popped into my head when I was reading about the station and when you were talking about it here was, man, I wonder if this is going to be in VR. So the fact that you mentioned that it is going to be in VR, there, it is very tempting to kind of see what this experience is going to be like once it comes to VR. Very very curious about this game though, and just I think that feeling of isolation and immersion in VR has the potential to take an experience like this to the next level, especially when I imagine there's going to be some type of a threat somewhere aboard this spaceship that you're going to encounter at some point. So yeah, that's really gonna ramp up the tension being in the headset. So I think this is one that I may wait on for VR.
Yeah, I'm thinking about doing the same. Also, just because I have so much other stuff to play right now. But yeah, this just seems like it would lend itself extremely well to a VR thing. But awesome. So you can look for The Station on PS4 and Xbox One on Tuesday. Sorry, you gonna add something?
I was just gonna say, too, with the gameplay being built around this AR or augmented reality HUD. I feel like in VR, that's gonna be really cool to see that kind of play out in front of you as you're inside of this world. So yeah, VR definitely has the potential to take this game to the next level as long as it's implemented properly and there's no motion sickness or anything like that. Could be really, really cool.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was thinking of too. When you, I don't know if you've played any of the latest Doom game, but like he puts on the helmet and like the screen pops up and you just see all this stuff like flashing up on the screen when it's in like initializing everything. Like I think stuff like that's cool. Like and actually having like a headset on and experiencing that is just really cool. So
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Next I want to spotlight this week is Past Cure. This is a third-person psychological horror game from indie developer Phantom 8. I'm not like too sure what to expect from this just yet. Looks like it has some horror game tropes from things like Resident Evil, kind of jump scare type of stuff, solving puzzles, finding keys to progress through the game. So I'm not too sure how it's going to pan out, but it's $30 and there's a lot of buzz around it right now. So I'm hoping it ends up being, a decent game. So I pre-ordered a copy at GameStop, so I'm going to go pick that up on Friday. But
Oh, nice.
Ben, have you seen any gameplay of this? Does this interest you at all?
I haven't seen too much of Past Cure yet, but like you said, I've seen it like popping up on like Twitter or like people talking about it on the internet. So I am curious about this, man. It looks pretty intense.
Mm-hmm.
It looks it looks like if it has like a kick-ass story and it really like nails the psychological thriller aspect of it. Yeah, this could be a badass game. Not familiar with Phantom 8. Is this their first game as a studio or?
I believe so. I've also never heard of them, so I think this is their first game.
Yeah, definitely got some potential. I mean, I love this whole vibe, like the dark psychological thriller, sci-fi thriller, like that kind of vibe. It's obviously a very mature themed game. Looks pretty intense. But really curious about this one, man. If you fire this one up, I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm thinking about streaming it Friday night if I find time when I get home from work. So it's something I definitely want to check out, though. I'm very, very curious about it. So hopefully that one works out pretty well. Again, look for that one on Friday on PS4 and Xbox One digitally, and it's coming to retail as well for $30. So doesn't seem like that bad of an investment. Up next, Metal Gear Survive is the Tuesday release on PS4 and Xbox. This is the spin-off from Phantom Pain centered around surviving a zombie outbreak. There's a single-player campaign, but it sounds geared more towards being a tutorial for the co-op survival mode that I know Brent actually was kind of surprised by, how much he enjoyed playing in the beta. So I'm not really sure what to expect from this game, not really looking to pick it up. So if Brent does, maybe he'll fill us in on if that game's worth your time or not. I don't know.
Yeah, I hopped into the beta the last time it was out, and got a match or two in, and it's fine. It seems like it's gonna have some fun elements, especially cooperatively. Seems like there could be some fun to be had, but it's not Metal Gear. It's definitely not Metal Gear. It's one of those things where it's like Metal Gear Survive could be an awesome game. It could be the best zombie co-op game that's ever been created, but at the end of the day, like when you slap the Metal Gear Solid name on something, like there's just certain expectations, at least from my perspective. Like this is a franchise I hold in very, very high regard. Some of my favorite games of all time are the Metal Gear Solid games, and so it's like when you take that franchise and then you just do something completely different of it, it just doesn't feel right. So when I was playing it in the beta, I didn't get to play it a ton. I didn't get to play it cooperatively either. I just kind of hopped in there and tried to get a taste for what it was like. There's some cool ideas in there. It clearly is based off like the Metal Gear technology and that look and all that kind of stuff. There's some cool ideas. There's some cool things going on. And there's some fun to be had. But yeah, man, just at the end of the day, this is just not Metal Gear Solid, and that's gonna be hard to get over for me.
Yeah, that's a lot of people I would talk to as well are in that same boat. It's kind of like Mass Effect Andromeda would have been a really great sci-fi game if it didn't have the Mass Effect name on it, and I feel like it's kind of what this is. Like it looks like it would be fun, but it doesn't fit in the Metal Gear universe at all. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure. Like I said, what to think of it. So I don't know. We'll see.
I'll be curious to see like what the final thoughts from everybody is on it, and like I said, from what I played, it seems like it could be a fun cooperative experience to a certain extent, but. Yeah, just having that Metal Gear name, man, it brings a certain gravitas that this game's gonna have to deal with.
Yeah. Well. All right. Well, lastly, another really awesome looking one coming out this week is Rad Rogers. This is a kickstarted 2D action platformer that's has been in development for a few years now, but like the big thing that drew me to it is John St. John is of course the voice of Duke Nukem. He's voicing your foul-mouthed companion in this game. But dude, man, this game just looks ridiculously action packed. We saw a trailer, launch trailer for it earlier this week, and you got blowing up everywhere. You got these crazy looking boss fights, some very mature like themed cutscenes. So this game just looks ridiculously over the top. So Ben, this looks like something that's right up your alley on the gameplay front. But what do you think? Is this something you want to hop into this week?
Yeah, very, very interested in this one, man. It's like you said, just a crazy, like, high octane, action packed. Just Bender mentioned some maybe some Ratchet and Clank influences with like a mature theme about it. I think that's a good way to put it. So yeah, Rad Rogers looks really cool, man. I definitely want to play this. I know Brent's interested in this one as well, so there's a good chance this one may show up on our YouTube channel in some form this week.
Nice. Bender, I know you saw the trailer for this. This one looks like something you want to pick up?
Yeah, this one looks like a lot of fun. Yeah, I mentioned in our Discord chat, it looks like to me like a 2D Ratchet and Clank because there's like a whole bunch of different weapons, different weapon types that you have, and you're just running around blowing stuff up and killing things and everything. But yeah, it looks really cool, and it has an interesting art style, kind of like the Max and Brotherhood games or whatever.
Yeah.
That sort of art style, but really interesting. So it's I'm very intrigued by this one.
Cool. Yeah, me too. I actually pre-ordered that along with Past Cure, so I'm gonna go pick this one up this week. This one I am actually gonna try to make time to play. This just looks like a good time. So you can look for this one on Wednesday on PS4 and Xbox One digitally, and like I mentioned, that'll be coming to retail as well. All right, guys, let's get to the rest of these new releases. I know we got a lot of stuff to talk about, so I'm going to kick off the rest of the new releases with the 1.2 update for Star Wars Battlefront 2 that'll be deploying on Monday. This update's going to feature a lot of gameplay fixes and level tweaks. There's some rebalancing of the heroes and villains, so a lot of them are going to be getting buffed, nerfed, just general tweaks in general. So awesome, because those guys, a lot of them just don't feel balanced when you're playing heroes and villains. I hate that mode. But this is also going to be introducing the limited time jetpack cargo mode. I didn't play a lot of it in the last game, but I know cargo mode was a really popular one from the last Battlefront game. So I know a lot of fans were upset that it was absent, when Battlefront 2 launched. So hopefully this is a sign that cargo mode's going to be coming full blast to the game at some point. But I'm actually looking forward to hopping into this one. I got a couple coworkers who've been itching to play more Battlefront, so I think we'll hop in Monday or Tuesday night and check that out. So that'll be fun. All right, on to Tuesday, we're going to kick off with some DLC drops, starting with Blanca, who will finally be joining the cast of Street Fighter V. Ben, I know you finally got your fight stick. Did you snag the season pass? Are you going to try out Blanca on Tuesday?
I've not snagged the season pass yet, but Blanca's one of my favorite Street Fighter characters. So I'm very tempted to get the season pass and fire him up. He looks sweet too. I love the reveal trailer. He's got a really cool look in Street Fighter V. His animations, his motions, like his moves look really, really cool in this game. Looks like he's got some fun combos, and Blanca's always he's always been a fun character for me to use. So I'm really close to pulling the trigger on it, but yeah, Blanca looks great, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. I gotta hop back into Street Fighter V soon, but yeah, I'm excited to get him in the game now. Finally, after all these years, I feel like should have been there from the start. But
he's Ono's favorite character, so it was only a matter of time before Blanca showed up. But he's finally here. Yeah,
excellent. On another Street Fighter related note, the Ryu Monster Hunter World Challenge is now live for those with a Street Fighter V save file. So I had to figure out how to access it because I had my file and I couldn't figure out where this mission is. So if you're playing Monster Hunter, you have that save file. You want to head to the Gathering Hub and talk to the arena lass, and then go over down to the Challenge tab, and you'll find that mission there, which it claims is a 3-star mission. It's not. It sucks ass. So you have to fight a giant. It's a huge Baroth. You're going to get a crown when you beat him for being the largest Baroth. So there's at least that silver lining, but yeah, I think you need 7 or 8 Street Fighter tokens from that quest to get the Ryu gear. So if you don't have a save though, the really cool thing about this game is if your buddy's with Ben's a big Street Fighter fan, has that save file. You love Monster Hunter, not a big fighting game fan. You can hop in that mission with Ben. You can get the tokens. You can get the Ryu armor as well. So
nice.
But if you don't have a friend like Ben with Street Fighter data, or you're playing on Xbox. Don't worry, this event will roll out for everyone else at a later date. I don't think they have any specific details just yet, but that will be live until March 1st.
March 1st, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So when you get all of that gear, does that let you like do the Hadoukens and stuff? Is that what the or how do you do reuse moves?
You actually have to buy those separately. I think they're emotes that they're selling separately. So I think those are available now too. So I think it's like $2 or something to do the Hadouken. So
of course it is.
Naturally, yeah. I mean the important stuff costs money, but
yeah, of
at
course.
least you can get the outfit for free.
Cool.
Up next, Pinball FX3 will be getting a trio of Jurassic Park tables across all platforms on Tuesday. Players can look forward to tables themed after the first movie, Jurassic World, and a third Zen original table that's called Jurassic Park Pinball Mayhem. Hell yeah, I've been waiting for new pinball tables, so excited to finally have those coming. Lastly, on the DLC front is Assassin's Creed Origins Discovery Tour. This is the free update that'll be coming to Origins owners, and I think you can pay $20 to purchase this as a standalone experience if you don't have Origins and don't want to play it, but you want to experience the educational aspect of it. It's pretty beefy. This is going to add 75 guided tours that are split up over themes such as Egypt, pyramids, daily life, Romans, and Alexandria. Those tours will last anywhere from 5 to 25 minutes each. So yeah, if you're playing Origins, you're looking forward to checking out the this mode, and look for that update on Tuesday. Armored Warfare is a free-to-play tank MMO game that'll be available on PS4 on Tuesday. I think it's been in paid early access for a while now, so it's going into its full release on Tuesday for everyone. Deadbolt. This is a stealth action title where you play as the Reaper and attempt to kill all of the undead. This one's coming from the Risk of Rain developers, so this is definitely one to keep an eye on. That'll be hitting PS4 and Vita this week, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we might be firing this one up sometime this week.
It's possible, because this game looks awesome. Brent's really excited about this game. Deadbolt looks really, really cool, though. Like, action-packed, just dark, gory, just, it looks great, man.
Yeah, I know he was a big fan of Risk of Rain, so I know this was something that was on his radar. So it looks cool. I can't wait to check that one out, too.
Yeah.
Defender's Quest Valley of the Forgotten DX is a tower defense RPG title hitting PS4 on Tuesday. Premium Pool Arena is a billiards game that'll be arriving on PS4 this week. Symmetry is a pretty cool-looking sci-fi survival game that'll be coming on PS4 this week as well. Xenon Valkyrie Plus is the roguelike action RPG that launched on the Vita back in, I think it was December, but that'll be making its jump to PS4 on Tuesday. Ben, this looking like our indie spotlight title this week, yeah?
Yes, this will be our indie spotlight titles Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern, on our YouTube channel. Come on over, hang out with us, jump in the comments. We'd love to have you there. But yeah, we're gonna fire this up. This is a game that's clearly inspired by Spelunky, which is a great game. One of my favorite games of the last generation. So it's a action platformer roguelike game, sci-fi themed this time around. So it looks like a lot of fun. Can't wait to fire it up Tuesday, 10 p.m. Eastern.
Cool. Looking forward to checking that stream out. I wanna see what that game's all about. So that'll be fun. Yeah. Tiles is a minimalist puzzle game that'll be coming to PS4 and Xbox One. Run Dorothy Run is an endless runner coming to PlayStation VR on Tuesday. That'll be interesting. Also coming to PSVR on Tuesday. This is actually one that looks really interesting to me. That's Apex Construct. So this is that really cool looking first-person action adventure title. Looks like it's drawing some influences from Horizon and Recore. You have a bow and arrow, and you're shooting at these robotic enemies. So I think this one was unveiled at the Paris Game Show. But man, that looks really cool. I can't wait to play that.
Does look awesome. The bow and arrow gameplay looks sweet. Mm-hmm. So the whole motion of pulling the bow back and firing the arrow in VR looks really immersive. Mm-hmm. I'm really excited to try that one out as well.
Yeah, I'm hoping it plays well. I remember when the Move first came out, they had that sports thing, and I know archery was one of the things in there. So
sports champions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hopping into that one. I don't know if I'm gonna pick it up this week, but definitely next time I get my get time for VR stuff, that's it's on the playlist. Mm-hmm. Puzzle Puppers is a puzzle game on the Switch that'll have you stretching out dogs. Think like Jake from Adventure Time, to guide them to their food bowls. $4.99. Don't know. Looks very strange. Old Man's Journey also comes to the Switch on Tuesday. This is a critically acclaimed adventure game where an old man goes on one last journey to relive some fond moments from throughout his life. So it looks like a very touching story. It's $10, and again, that'll be on the Switch on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Xenon Valkyrie Plus and Defender's Quest will launch on Xbox One. Layers of Fear Legacy will arrive on the Nintendo Switch, so I think that's the last platform that game needs to come on. So that'll lead us into Thursday, which of course is the big release day on the Switch. So all the following will be arriving on the eShop on Thursday. Typo Man, that's a really cool platformer. Uses words to solve puzzles. Make sure you check out Ben's Indie Spotlight stream of this on our YouTube channel. It's a fun stream, very entertaining.
Watch me be a dumbass as I try and figure out these puzzles.
It's a good time. I started playing that game and it's really cool. So
that's a sweet game. I really like Typo Man. It's fun, fun, great concept.
Yeah. Really cool. It's finally coming out on the Switch. I'm thinking about picking up on there. I feel like that's a good game to play on the lunch break. So, Pac-Man Championship Edition 2 Plus, the popular Pac-Man revival game, finally arrives on the Switch. Slimeson Blackbird's Kraken. This is a free content update for owners of Slimeson. I think it's like a whole DLC pack, so they're giving that away to Switch owners. So that's pretty cool. Radiation Island is a survival game kind of in the vein of Dead Island, where not only zombies are out to kill you, but the wildlife is as well. So trying to find weapons, fight off anything you can to survive. Space Cats with Lasers, probably the coolest title on this list this week, just name-wise. But this is a bullet hell twin-stick shooter. Super Ola and the Lost Burgers. I have to read the quick description to this game because it sounds ridiculous. But this is a retro-styled action platformer where you'll guide a burger-loving llama in its quest to defeat the hot dog aliens to recover the stolen burgers before they get cold.
Man, it's
yeah. The game doesn't look as exciting as that, but it's a cool premise. I like it. So.
That's a shame. Like when your flavor text reads like that, and then your game doesn't look like bonkers and you know doesn't look like it matches that description. That's disappointing.
Yeah, it is. I don't know. Maybe it's just as goofy. I don't know, but it just didn't look that impressive to me. So hard pass, but it's a sad one. Hollow. This is a sci-fi first-person shooter set on an abandoned space station. Really curious how this one's going to look on the Switch. The PC version's kind of got really really impressive looking graphics, and I don't know how it's going to run on the Switch. So we'll see. So I'll be interested to see how that one pans out. But Membrane, this is a puzzle game that looks very similar in concept to Katamari. It's actually one of those college student projects. So that'll be coming out on the Switch this week. Dragon Sinker, this is that Kemco published fantasy RPG that released on PS4 and Vita last week. Ace of Seafood is that badass looking twin stick shooter that launched on PS4. I think it was last month, but the game looks sweet. Arcade Archives Neo Geo Magical Drop 3 is a match 3 Tetris style puzzle game. SteamWorld Dig 2 will hit the 3DS this week alongside the 99-cent Fat Dragons. Looks like a super budget single player Towerfall-esque type of game. And lastly for Thursday is Little Adventure on the Prairie. This is an adventure platformer that's been on the 3DS that'll be arriving on PS4 and Vita on Thursday. On Friday, the big one on Friday is actually going to be Sword Art Online Fatal Bullet. This is the latest entry in Namco Bandai's action RPG series based on the popular anime, so that'll be available on PS4 and Xbox One on Friday. Fable Fortune, I'm really curious to fire this game up because I did buy it when it went into game preview, but that'll be leaving game preview on Friday, so Fable Fortune hitting its 1.0 release on Friday. Symmetry, this is the sci-fi title mentioned on PS4 earlier, that'll be on Xbox on Friday. Famiko is a third-person platforming adventure game set in a twisted virtual network that'll be coming to Xbox One this week. Looks really disorienting. Abo Kasham is a cartoony-styled dungeon RPG title that'll be hitting PS4 and Xbox One. The Switch is getting another trio of games on Friday, headlined by Toki Tori 2 Plus. I know, Ben, that's one you were very fond of.
That's a good one.
Yeah, again, check out our YouTube channel for his Indie Spotlight stream of that game if you're curious to see what this looks like in action. Final Station will also finally be making its way to the Switch, and Twin Robots Ultimate Edition, which is a puzzle platformer where you'll guide a pair of robots through a research facility. And then we have a couple of PSVR releases to close out the week with Conrad the Kitten, which is a virtual cat carrying title, alongside Restless Spirit, which is a Japanese 360-degree full motion video survival title that I'm pretty sure already came out, but whatever. So Ben, before I hand it over to you, there are a couple limited run releases I wanted to make note of this week because this first one's a very big deal, I think, for Vita owners and Oddworld fans. But Oddworld Munch's Odyssey HD will be available on the Vita on Friday. So this one's limited to 3,000 standard copies, 2,000 collector's editions, which looks really cool. It includes a replica of the can on the cover, two-sided poster, CD soundtrack. So you can grab that thing for $64.99 if you're able to get in early enough. Then there's going to be 1,000 of another variant cover that will be available at PAX East. So keep that in mind if you're going to be going to PAX East in a couple months. But I highly recommend getting in there early on Friday. Oddworld, first time around, sold out almost immediately. So no doubt this one's going to sell out just as fast. So if you're interested, Vita Collector, hop on a limited run on Friday, pick that up. Joining Oddworld on Friday is going to be Kemco's Revenant Saga. This one will be limited to 4,000 copies on PS4 and 3,000 copies on the Vita. And finally, the Metronomicon?
Metronomicon.
Metronomicon? The Metronomicon. It'll be limited to 3,000 copies on the PS4. That'll include all the DLC and the soundtrack on the disc. It's also going to come with a full-color poster and a full-color game manual. So
nice.
It's a rarity these days. So busy day for limited run, but again, if you're going for Oddworld, make sure you show up 10 a.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. Eastern. That's when the batches will go up, and I have no doubt that Oddworld is going to sell out immediately. So if you're a collector, hop in there before you're paying out the nose on eBay. Ben's going to do it for new releases.
Thank you, Franklin. Once again, man, another week, another just plethora of video games for us to play. A lot of really interesting looking titles in there this week. So once again, there will be no shortage of things for us to sink our teeth into. All right, guys, let's hop into the news. And we're going to start this week with some Sea of Thieves. So this week, the press got their hands on Sea of Thieves, and we learned some really interesting things about this game that I think are worth discussing. So first of all, let's just talk about how the game starts. So I'm gonna read from this IGN write-up. I think they have a solid write-up of what we learned about Sea of Thieves this week. So Sea of Thieves will open with you choosing your pirate. So, and choosing is a deliberate choice of words they mentioned. This isn't character customization. So Rare's made a purposeful decision not to include slider-filled menus. Instead, you begin in a tavern with 8 procedurally generated pirates to inspect. They're created based on 20 different parameters, from age to body shape to overall wonkiness, essentially how asymmetrical they are, leading to a practically infinite number of variations. If you don't like the 8 you're shown, you can regenerate another 8 as many times as you like until you find a favorite. The idea is to get players to choose a character that they'd like to roleplay as, rather than simply trying, and as in most games, failing, to create themselves. If possible, Rare wants players to choose someone they'd never normally make. While I have to admit that I'd love to play with a wonkiness slider, this is the IGN author writing this, I can understand the thinking here. The selections we see are full of appealing oddities, from pistol-wielding old ladies to crooked little guys toting hurdy-gurdies the size of their torso. Just make sure you're sure you want to spend hours with your pirate. You never get a chance to alter their physical appearance again. Once you have a pirate, you'll need to choose a ship. And here we finally get an answer on how boat ownership will work. Like the beta, your selection essentially boils down to a galleon built for 4 players, or a sloop built for 1 or 2. But the ship you choose only lasts as long as the gameplay session you're in. You can try manning a galleon alone, log out, and then overfill a sloop with 4 players. The point here is that in a game built around the flexibility to sail alone, with strangers, or with friends, everyone owning a boat doesn't make sense. Whose boat would you pick? So the compromise is in how boats are customized. So players can buy cosmetic upgrades, figurehead sail designs, and specific hulls that they keep forever, in the same way as clothing or equipment. They can be applied to any boat, meaning each time you play, you and your crew can decide on the look of your ship as you sail. You might want to make it known that you're a threat, rigging black sails and making it clear to your server that you're bad news. Or maybe you could do up your sloop as a merchant vessel, hoping that players will take mercy as you pass. If you're disappointed by that, lead designer Mike Chapman hints that there's a more concrete sense of boat ownership as you get further into the game. We'll say more on that later. We also finally have some description of the storyline. So set a little before the golden age of piracy, which began around 1650, The actual Sea of Thieves is pitched as a physical place in our world, a mystical land that can only be found if you know where to go. Think Wonder Woman's Themyscira, where everyone has way less fashion sense. So Chapman sums it up in evocative fashion by saying it could be found in the crease of a map. Your pirate has found their way into that crease at the beginning of the game. So Bender, right off the bat, there, let me ask you about this stuff here. What are your thoughts on kind of the opening to Sea of Thieves here? Now that we know how it's gonna play out, so you're gonna pick a pirate that you don't get to create. You pick one from a random selection of pirates that Rare kind of puts together for you, and you can continuously pull up a different pirate until you find one that you like. What do you think about this idea of ship ownership that they've posed here, where you get you choose your ship for that gameplay session, but that's kind of where it ends. What do you think about the setting in the 1600s? Talk to me about this stuff here.
I actually played a little bit in their stress test today. I forgot to mention that. So I did get to experience the way this character choosing system. I'm actually a little disappointed because I was hoping there was going to be a character customization system. And when I was choosing my character in the stress test today, I was like scrolling through these pirates and refreshing and scrolling through. And I was like, man, I hope this isn't the way they do it in the final game. But apparently it is.
Surprise.
Yeah. So this particular beta test was, I guess, closer to what the final game's going to be like. But I didn't play it for too long, and I'll go into that. Yeah, I was a little disappointed by that, but everything else sounds fine. I mean, getting to customize your ship, I don't have a problem with that, and the setting and everything is fine. But yeah, I played for a very short time today because there's a lot of bad stuff happened while I did my game session. So I was by myself, so I got on this little sloop, it's just a little one-person ship. And they spawned me in at the outpost like they always do, but it was in the middle of a storm, so it's like pouring down rain. So I get my first treasure map, and I get on my ship and I start setting sail. I noticed that because it's raining so hard, the bottom of my deck is starting to fill up with water, even though there's no holes in my ship. So I have to go down every once in a while and scoop out the water with my bucket while I'm trying to sail. So I finally figure out what island I'm supposed to go to. And I lower the sails, start sailing towards it. I look at my compass just spinning around and around in the storm. So I don't know which way I'm going. So my ship is like just drifting and I'm still trying to go down and scoop water out and everything. I hit a couple of rocks, so I did have to repair my hull and scoop more water out. Finally managed to get to the island where my treasure map was. I dig up the treasure. I go put it on my ship. And like immediately after I put my treasure down, like another ship comes up. It's a huge galleon with 4 guys. They start shooting their cannons at me. And so I'm like, what do I do? So one guy jumps on and he like shoots me in the face and I almost die. So I jump off the edge and I swim around. Like maybe if I swim around, I can surprise them. I climb back on my ship. By that time they had stolen my treasure and took off, and there was one guy on their left and he just hit me with his sword and I died. And I was like, I'm done. I'm not playing this game by myself anymore.
Man.
Yeah, so that wasn't fun, but it's definitely a game that I'm going to want to play with a crew with, like 3 or 4 guys. It will be a lot more fun that way. But yeah, like I said, I was a little disappointed with the character creation system, but I mean, it is what it is, I guess.
Yeah. So that's interesting, Bender, because they're trying to position this game as something that you can play by yourself as well, right? Like that's kind of their whole vibe. It's built around a cooperative experience, but they want you to know that you can come in here and play, by yourself if you have to, if that's the kind of player that you are. From what you're saying though, it doesn't sound like that experience is going to be ideal if you're a solo player hopping into one of these servers.
No, it didn't work out for me, and I also thought it was funny the way the author in this article writes, oh, you can dress your ship up like a merchant ship and hoping that people will take mercy on you. I'm like, nobody's going to take mercy on you. The players in this game, as soon as they see someone, they immediately start attacking. Yeah. They try to take your treasure. I mean, that's just the way the game works. So nobody's going to walk by and be like, and just be nice.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen.
Yeah. Because is there any incentive to not attacking that we know of right now? Like, do you get like, good guy credit or anything like that?
Not as far as I know.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point is to get treasure, and if somebody has a treasure on their boat, I mean, you got to try to steal it from them.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they might try to steal yours from you.
Yeah. Definitely. So what do you think about all this stuff, Frankie? Specifically the character customization. Like, are you buying this idea that they're trying to make it easier for players to get into the game and so that they don't have to try to make someone that looks like them, but they won't be able to make it. Like, are you buying any of that stuff here? And what do you think about the ship ownership and kind of the setting of the game?
Honestly, I don't think I care much about the character thing. It's a first-person game, so I mean, you don't even really know what you look like. So I always thought it was funny, like, watching back like Brent's stream and seeing what my guy looks like. I was like, wow, okay. But I don't know. I don't typically get too in depth with character creation tools. It's not something I get carried away with. I usually just do like some randomized thing or just like default this and that. It's not something I mess around with much, so that doesn't bother me too much. The ship thing, it's kind of interesting because the way that game seems like it's structured is it's kind of like if you're playing Destiny, right? And it's kind of like saying, okay, well, this time you play through, you'll have this exotic weapon, but next time you play, we're gonna take that away from you. Like a lot of the things that you do in Destiny, like your loadout, like those guns, like that becomes like a part of like what your guardian is, right? Like that's your loadout, like we the Better Devils and stuff. Like I associate that with you. Like I think Better Devils, I'm like, all right, yeah, Ben, Crucible, good times. But I feel like with Sea of Thieves, like the one thing that you're going to be customizing seems like it's going to be your ship. Like that's where you're going to be spending the most time. Out sailing the open seas. I would think the one constant would be that ship and the kind of stuff that you're going to be doing to it. Like and it's cool that they're going to let you keep all this stuff. But I mean, for me personally, like that would be more important to me is like, these are my ships. If I'm playing by myself, I have a sloop, and I've bought all these upgrades, all these customization items for it, and that's mine. Like I don't want to have to like go and have a new ship every single time I play. That just seems strange to me.
Gotcha.
But as far as I actually really, I don't know. Like I kind of like the idea of that game and how the what the Sea of Thieves actually is. So. I'm not expecting like any kind of story out of it, though. I guess it doesn't sound like you're gonna really be getting one. So, but as Bender mentioned that earlier, though, he was talking in the Discord room about what he was just telling us, and I'd made a comment, like that's the kind of the thing I worry about with this game. Like Bender playing that by himself, like he's not gonna want to do that. I don't blame him. That's the type of experience I have with a game. I don't want to play that game. It's not fun. I don't want to be out on my own and then have, a gang of 4 guys come up, kill me, steal all my stuff. And I don't think that's fun. It's not fair. It's not fun, so it doesn't seem like a game that I would want to play by myself. And that's where my big concern with that game still lies, is that I'm very interested in it, especially after, playing the beta and kind of seeing what that game actually is. And, the potential is totally there. It's just, I kind of almost wish that they might like segregate the servers. So, if Bender wants to go out on his own, he only run into other people out there on their own. You don't want to run into a ship full of 4 people. And I get like, there, we talked about it earlier, like that kind of sense of accomplishment, like being able to best those 4 pirates, grab your treasure, hell, steal their ship. I don't know if you could do that or not, but get out of there, basically get out of that situation alive. Like that's a cool story to tell, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like that's like the core gameplay of Sea of Thieves. That's not what I gathered from it playing the beta, but I don't know. I'm still very mixed on this game, even with the stuff that we've heard this week. So,
Gotcha. Yeah. So you mentioned some interesting things in there about like your ship and about the amount of boats that are in your server and that kind of stuff. And we're gonna touch on all that stuff as we move along here. So let's continue reading through here. So, as with any good pirate yarn, there's a massive treasure to be found, obviously. It's called Athena's Fortune. But your immediate goal is something that we've heard a lot from Rare, but never truly had explained, and that's to become a pirate legend. So, Pirate Legend is a much more tangible title than the buzzwordy E3 speak it's previously felt like. We've already been told about the game's 3 factions, so we mentioned this previously on the show too. So we got the Gold Hoarders, the Order of Souls, and the Merchant Alliance. So each broadly offers quests along different lines. The Gold Hoarders focus on treasure hunting, the Order on bounty hunting, and the Merchant Alliance on gathering and trading. Completing the three types of actions increases your reputation with each faction, but increase your reputation enough with all three and you attain legend status, which sounds like this is kind of the point of the game, at least early on. So a lot comes with that status. We're shown a snippet of footage of a secret pirate hideout. Players won't know where it is, says Chapman, and when word spreads around the community, that's going to be an awesome moment, where players will be able to take on legendary voyages, Sea of Thieves' closest equivalent to other MMO's raid content. The hideout also becomes your standard spawn point, including a waterfall that your ship explodes out of, like Batman leaving the Batcave, which is pretty sweet. So speaking of transportation, becoming a legend offers another major perk. You will get a legendary ship, a different model to the standard galleons and sloops. Rare won't tell us the specifics of what this entails or exactly how it works with a mixed crew, but Chapman provides a hint that owning a ship is an entirely different affair after you become a legend. This is a whole other game type, says Chapman. The ship starts building reputation. The ship has access to things other ships don't. The idea is that when players see a legendary ship, it's like seeing the Black Pearl. Legend status can help other players too. Legendary voyages aren't locked off from lower level players, so a set crew won't be fragmented if one player progresses further than the others. Even better, players can hide being a legend. Chapman excitedly discusses the idea of a player dressing in rags, removing any titles that would mark them out, matchmaking with strangers, then walking into the captain's cabin presenting a legendary voyage scroll to be voted on. Everyone's going to want to do your voyage. Everyone's going to spam you with friend requests. Everyone's going to want to be with you. You're going to feel like a legend because you've got that status in the game and something truly unique and different that you can bring to those other players. That leads to the best rewards in the game. So Bender, let me ask you about this stuff. What do you think about becoming legend? Do you like this idea? Do you like where Rare's going with this?
I do. This sounds really interesting. Being able to take on like legendary quests and stuff like that, and stuff that they can compare to like kind of like a raid and secret hideouts. All that stuff sounds really cool. So, if I'm interested enough in the game to keep playing, I mean that's definitely something I'm going to want to strive for. So we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it sounds pretty cool.
At first blush, does this sound like something that would propel you to play through the game? It's like Frankie mentioned, we're not going to get any kind of story with Sea of Thieves. We're going to get a setting, then you guys are going to drop into a boat, and then you're going to go play the game, and whatever happens from there. But is this idea of becoming legend, of earning a legendary ship, of going on these legendary voyages, and like making it to the end game, so to speak, do you think that's going to be enough, at least at first blush, from what we know about it now, to drive you through the game?
I mean, the idea, the concept of being rewarded is enough to keep me playing, but it's really going to come down to the moment-to-moment gameplay, the gameplay loop.
Yeah.
If that's going to be fun throughout this whole time as I'm playing, if it's going to get its hooks in me and make me want to continue playing, then that's what's going to drive me on.
Yeah.
I mean, not some distant reward, but the moment-to-moment gameplay. And if I'm constantly getting killed by other players, I'm probably going to give up pretty quick on this game. So yeah, it's really going to depend on what everything else leading up to that is going to be comprised of.
Yeah. Bender, I'm going to need you to man up, all right? I need you to take on these other pirates that are coming your way. Nah, that's totally understandable. So Frankie, let me ask you, man, about this idea of becoming legend. Specifically, how about this idea about owning a legendary ship? So they mentioned, this ship will build reputation. It'll have access to things these other ships don't. It'll stand out on the seas when you have one of these legendary ships. Do you like that idea? Do you like this idea of becoming legend?
Again, yeah, I like becoming legend. It's fun. Yeah, I mean that sounds awesome actually, and also terrifying. If I'm in Bender's situation and you're out doing a mission, and all of a sudden you see this big badass ship roll up, you're like, oh yep, I'm screwed. So I think it's cool that you can at least get to a point where you can differentiate yourself from other players and kind of build your reputation, as it were, on the Sea of Thieves. So That's cool. I mean, I that's at least something to chase. Like that's one of the things I was curious about with this game was, are we just going to be doing these small voyages, and like what is the point of all this? So kind of seeing like as you get to the next tier of this game, it's like okay, well, you're chasing a pretty badass ship that you can, I assume, own and customize. So that's good. But yeah, I mean, even like going on raids, dude, hell yeah. That was one of the things I was really like curious about the most too. Was like, you go past these islands and you have all these skeletons, and I remember thinking like, dude, why don't they like go and create these like legendary pirate captains or something? And it's a pirate game. Go and raid some pirates like treasure cache or something, and like fight like some sweet boss pirate skeleton monster or something. Like that's the stuff I was curious they would consider would be in here, and hearing like there's raids, that gives me hope that that's totally in there. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, my main motivation to even get to that point now is just to watch my ship fly out like from the Batcave. So that just sounds freaking awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great. And yeah, this is something that Brent's talked about before, but this idea of having like this big quest, this like Goonies type quest in the game as like a raid, or you can imagine like I would imagine that a legendary voyage would be like this multi-tiered quest that you would go on. That's probably a lot more involved than your standard quests. And something like that could be really, really cool if it's done right. Like you said, if they have a big pirate skeleton boss at the end, or they have some elaborate puzzle that you have to figure out to open up a pirate treasure room, like all that kind of stuff could be really cool. And there's a lot of cool stuff you can just do with the idea of pirates. So inevitably, of course, we'll continue on here, the world will become saturated with pirate legends, making that tag less valuable. This is presumably why every developer I talk to makes very clear that becoming a legend is essentially Sea of Thieves' first chapter. We want this to become endgame for launch, says Chapman, but start game for what happens beyond launch. The studio is currently aiming to add its first free content update 3 months after launch, which will not only offer as yet unspecified new voyages for pirate legends, but also begin to advance the wider story into the golden age of piracy. So we know that the game begins prior to the golden age of piracy or just before it, and it sounds like with this first update they're going to usher in that golden age of piracy. Pre-launch, it's pretty clear why Rare isn't talking explicitly about what that will mean, but if you've been worried that Sea of Thieves will amount to little more than a beautiful but procedural ship and drunkenness simulator, it's heartening to know how structured a plan there appears to be behind the scenes. That's not to say there won't be updates for the first 3 months either. Rare's live service approach means that event quests, new items, and even mysterious new islands could be added to the world as and when they want them to be. The earliest would be a time-limited challenge coming shortly after release. We won't just do these arbitrarily, Chapman explains. We'll do it based on the lore of the game. We'll make an event out of it. I think we might announce by saying there's a new trading company that's coming to the world, but behind the scenes we've changed the islands in some way. Then that news spreads around the community. That's the potential we have with Sea of Thieves, that this world is dynamic and it's always changing. And there's always new things to discover and ways to progress. The studio's consistently lovely approach to immortalizing players for their stranger feats, such as there's a skeleton with a banana hanging out of its mouth commemorating Griffin, the player to eat the most fruit in the game's alpha, that will continue too. Studio head Craig Duncan explains that if it wanted to, the studio could make changes or fun additions overnight. The development seems as much reactive as it does planned. Bender, what's your thoughts on this, man? What's your thoughts on this pirate legend thing being kind of the first chapter in this game, and then from here it sounds like this world is going to expand, there's going to be more added to it. Do you like this idea of maybe there's kind of just set time periods and we're just kind of move to the world of Sea of Thieves here with each update? Do you like this idea of the fact that they can change the game and add stuff seemingly at the drop of a hat? What do you think about all this, man?
I like the sound of that. Sounds like they've got some pretty grand plans for the future of the game. I like the idea that the islands could change somehow, or they could add new mysterious islands and stuff like that, and that's going to be something that people will be talking about and discovering. Yeah, so it sounds like they've got some good plans, and I like that idea. Sounds like it's going to keep us busy.
What do you think about this plan, Frankie?
I like it. Especially coming on, seeing how Destiny's evolved over the years. I looked at that game and this one a lot just because they're kind of similar in a lot of ways to me. But
Hmm.
like that roadmap of like people needing more content and coming more frequently. I think Sea of Thieves, kind of learning from a game like that, like, okay, well, we want to keep our players engaged. People want more content. They're going to blow through what we have quickly. So keeping that in mind and kind of trying to at least be half a step ahead of gamers, in terms of like that thirst for more content. I feel like they're at least, on paper, heading in the right direction there. I think it's just going to be a matter of how frequent are these updates going to be past the first planned one, like how far ahead are they actually, planning for right now? And
Hmm.
are they going to be able to keep pumping out enough content to kind of keep players engaged for the time between those? Because it's kind of the same we saw at Destiny. Like once like the new like a new expansion comes out, they raise the level cap, and you have people who are maxed out within a week or two, and then they're sitting there, okay, now what's next? Where's the new strikes? Where's the next expansion? Stuff like that. So is Sea of Thieves going to are they going to be able to perpetually change the world enough and add stuff in between all these updates to keep players interested and, keep them from kind of dropping off between all these updates? That's the thing that I'm going to be really curious to see.
Yeah, definitely. Especially in a game that's basically has no story, right? You're in this world, and you have to kind of just be so enraptured with this world and with what's going on in Sea of Thieves that you want to stay there for the long haul and you want to keep playing this game. So yeah, that's going to be very interesting to see how that plays. There's one other thing we found out about too, and that's the Kraken. So this is something that people have been wondering about. But as far as the Kraken goes, so after seeing a short teaser in which we see the 8 galleon-sized tentacles erupt around a ship, we're told that the Kraken will be an extremely rare event, acting almost like the game's storms. It's a force of nature rather than the endpoint of a specific quest, according to Duncan. How it acts is more complex. It can it can envelop your ship and drag it underwater, smack sailors off deck and into the churning seas, or even pick them up helpless, looking down on their vessel as it's assaulted. Tentacles can be attacked to make them release you, and if the special outfit we saw on the art director's office wall is anything to go by, there seem to be rewards for repelling the beast. The fact that I know how it will work, but not exactly when I'll see it or how I'll be rewarded for fighting it, seems like the sweet spot Rare is aiming for with Sea of Thieves. It's ultimately a game about discovery, from how to sail to where the X on a treasure map is pointing you to what the endgame ship will do. So, what do you think about that, Frankie? What do you think about the Kraken not being a part of a quest, but kind of just something that will randomly show up in your world, rarely from time to time? That's something you're a fan of, or would you rather there be something like built around this thing?
I actually prefer things like that to show up unexpectedly, and this is another thing with Monster Hunter. Like I mentioned earlier, the Basil Goose thing that we're running into now, he just comes out of nowhere. There's no warning that he's coming. You have no idea what happened. You die. You have no idea what killed you, and then you go back and you see this big ass monster, and you're like, what the hell is that? Like that's the kind of feeling I think the Kraken's going to bring to Sea of Thieves, and that's awesome. I love that. That's one of my favorite things about Monster Hunter is just that sense of discovery. So. And even over time, like kind of learning how to, handle like that attack and okay, well, there goes our ship. Like, what do we do now? So like stuff like that, like I think is frustrating when it happens, but also like really cool to reflect on. Like, okay, that was still really cool. I did not expect that. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To me, this seems like a game that would thrive on the unknown. So, I would imagine if I was Rare, there'd be a lot of stuff that I wouldn't want to tell the player. I would just want them to experience it as they're driving around in their ship. So, something like the Kraken just coming out of the water, like we know about it now. But like, what else is this world gonna house as you're exploring it, as you're out discovering things and driving around and finding these islands, looking for treasures and that kind of stuff. Like, what other surprises is this world going to have? I think that's one of the really curious things and one of the really interesting things about this game. If there's enough of that stuff, if there's enough of those, like, wow or aha moments, like, that's something that could keep you playing this game repeatedly. Like, you're going to be like, man, like, what's around this corner? What am I going to see next? Like, I've started to see all these cool things. What do you think about that, Bender? What do you think about what they're doing with the Kraken here?
That sounds pretty cool to me. Yeah, I agree with Frankie. It's going to be cool to have that holy crap moment where you're just sailing along and then this huge tentacle wraps around your ship and you have to fight it off with your sword or something,
Yeah.
and another one comes up and picks you up and like throws you into the sea or something like that. It's gonna be one of those moments that you're either gonna fight it off and feel triumphant, or you're gonna die and just be laughing about it the whole time.
Yeah.
So it's sounds like a really cool thing.
Nice. Yeah, I think it sounds neat as well. A couple other things that we want to touch on with Sea of Thieves here. One, microtransactions will be added around 3 months after release. You guys excited about that? So this is a quote from Rare. Our focus at launch is on a great game experience. When we deliver the first major update, that's when we'll turn on the ability for players to spend money optionally. We thought long and hard about what's right for our game experience, and the key thing we think is that it has to add to the fun social nature of the game. So anything in this area will not impact power or progression. You'll always know what you're getting. So that means no loot crates. Neat, who's the guy from Rare, Joe Neat, explains that there will be opportunities to earn paid currency through normal play. While the plan for how this will happen aren't yet finalized, he suggests you could find items in the game world or receive it as a reward after high-level quests. The first paid content for the game will come in the form of pets. It'll either be on a shoulder like a monkey or like a cat on the ship, explains Neat. But it'll kind of benefit everyone socially and emotionally. So if I've got a cat, I can pick it up and look at it, or you can pick it up and run off with it. Obviously, when you put it down, it'll come back. I really, really want to allow us to fire cats and other animals out of cannons. It'll land on its feet. It's a cat. It'll be fine. Beyond that, Rare is looking to include potions that can alter you cosmetically, like a drought that turns your character model old for a certain amount of time. The mission statement is that microtransaction items have emotional value, not mechanical value. So you guys think about that, Frankie? I mean, this sounds pretty harmless, right?
Yeah, I mean, just something to laugh at. Pay $1 to turn your guy into an old guy and fire him out of a cannon. Seems funny. I would buy a cat. So
yeah,
I don't feel like that hurts the game not having them in there for regular play. I mean,
yeah. What about you, Bender? You think this is going to cause an uproar in the community? Is it just the mere mention of microtransactions? Bring out the pitchforks and blowtorches?
No, I don't know. Not if it's done right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd pay money to have like a monkey or a parrot on my shoulder or something. If I can train my monkey to start dancing when I play my accordion, it's all
it's on.
I'm all for that.
It's on like Donkey Kong.
Exactly.
We also know why the crew size is maxed out at 4 players. Lead designer Mike Chapman has confirmed to IGN that the party size from the game's beta would continue into the full game, saying that the key element for Rare was how larger groups would or wouldn't communicate. So the biggest ship was designed for 4, Chapman explained when asked why that became the maximum. We've looked at feedback, and of course there's people who want an 8-player ship, a 10-player ship. The thinking there, as with everything in this game, is really intentful. If the 2 of us were to go out to the pub together with 2 friends, you've got the intimate relationship you're all getting on together. If it becomes 6 or 8 people, you start getting people splintering off, and it's really hard to communicate. 4 seems like the magic number. What do you guys think about that? You happy with 4 being the size of the crew? Frankie?
Yeah, I think 4 is a good number for almost any game. That's co-op. I just feel like you get past that, like it's even like with Destiny raids. I feel like when we're in a party chat with 6 people, it gets really hectic at times, and so I think 4 is kind of like the sweet spot for this kind of thing.
You agree with that, Bender? 4 is a sweet spot for these kind of games?
I do. I agree with that, especially when it, like Frankie said, when it comes to communication. It gets really hectic when too many people are on the same chat line, trying to talk over each other. I don't know, there would be enough jobs on the ship to keep 6 people busy, because you've got the sails, you got the anchor, you got the navigation, you got the wheel. There's enough things to keep 6 people busy. But yeah, 4 is probably the sweet spot, just in terms of ease of use and the best experience possible.
Yeah, and Rare is going to continue to monitor this. So if it's a situation where they want to do something in the future and add more people to a ship, or they want to make some big raid that would require 6 or 8 people, Like that, that's something that could be on the table in the future. But for right now, they feel like 4 is the magic number, so that's what they're going to go with. Finally, when it comes to Sea of Thieves, I have an interesting take on servers here. So, I'm going to read this article, also from IGN. It's never been quite clear how many players will be able to fit in a Sea of Thieves server, and it turns out there's a very good reason for that. Rare's approach to servers is very different to most online games, meaning there's no definitive answer. The developer's focus is on keeping player encounters regular, but not too frequent. The magic number is apparently to see another ship on average every 15 minutes to half an hour, making every encounter different, as well as giving non-violent players the chance to escape. But in a map as large and spread out as Sea of Thieves, a high number of players might still be too spread out, or a small group too bunched together, to keep that magic number in check. The solution for Rare is to focus on the distance between players in a server, not just how many players are on that server. We step in to ensure that you have that frequency of encounter, explains lead designer Mike Chapman. So when we detect that there's fewer people near you, we migrate you to preserve that ratio, so we kind of move you seamlessly across servers. That seamlessness is the key. All servers are synchronized, meaning that day-night cycles and even weather remain consistent for every player playing at one time. When you're migrated, the idea is that players will feel interested rather than interrupted, meaning you won't be kicked out of the game to join a new server. Instead, your boat will continue sailing as normal, but the screen will react to show you something strange is happening. When you see it happen, says Chapman, you see a cryptic riddle on screen and hear the music. It kind of refers to the fact that the world is changing. The upshot is that practically there's no hard and fast maximum or minimum number of players in one Sea of Thieves server as long as everyone's still hitting that magic number, and it should never really feel like you're being placed and replaced into new versions of the world. Frankie, what do you think about this, man? A very interesting take on servers here in Sea of Thieves.
Yeah, it sounds interesting. Hopefully, it works the way it's supposed to.
Yeah,
I'm be curious to see how it works.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Is this sounds very ambitious and very unique. Never quite heard of a server and always online game working quite like this.
Yeah.
But is the technology there to keep all of these boats in check and constantly move them across the server? It seems crazy that that they have the technology to do this.
Yeah. It almost, I mean, like hearing that, I kind of understand now why this game maybe has taken this long to finally come out. It sounds like that's a very technically ambitious thing. So I don't know, man.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Bender? You mentioned you hopped in as a solo player, got housed by this big ship that came in and took you out. Does this idea of encounters and the way that they're doing this with the servers, does that make you feel better about being a solo player, or what do you think?
It's definitely weird. Like you guys were saying, I've never heard of anything like this.
Yeah.
It's definitely seems like a very complicated technological feat for them to have all these servers in synchronicity and just seamlessly move players from one server to another.
Yeah, based on
weird.
distance, like from other players.
Yeah,
it sounds really crazy.
It does, yeah. I don't know how well it'll work, but I mean, regardless of what they're doing with the servers, I'm not going to be trying to be a single player in this game anymore.
Gotcha. So that's kind of what we learned about Sea of Thieves this week. So quite a bit. So the vision around this game starting to materialize a little bit more as we go through week by week here. So my final question for you guys is this, and Bender, let me ask you this first. So from what you've played and from what we know now after reading about Sea of Thieves this week and all the hands-on press impressions, are you more excited or less excited for this game now than you were before the start of this week? Or about the same?
I think I'm about the same, really. I still want to play this game, and when it's in its final form, I'm probably going to just go ahead and do the Game Pass thing and just pay $10 and see how much I like it and see if it gets its hooks into me. If it does, then I'll keep subscribing or possibly even to buy the game if I really fall in love with it. I liked it enough to buy this controller, this Xbox One controller. But in fairness, it is a sweet looking controller, the Sea of Thieves one. But yeah, I'm still interested enough in the game that I'm going to play it when it comes out. But we'll see how long that lasts. It just depends on how good the experience is, and how much fun I'm having with
Hmm.
it.
So Frankie, I'm gonna pose the same question to you. So now that you've played the beta, now that we know a lot more information about the title based on the beta and what's come out since then, specifically this week with all the press impressions that came out, are you more excited, less excited, or about the same in terms of your excitement for this game now?
Yeah, this is a game I couldn't care less about last year. This was not on my radar. I wasn't interested in it. But after playing the beta and hearing everything that we heard this week, I've completely pulled a U-turn in this game. I'm actually really excited about it. It's just like I said, my concern still sits with this is a game that I'm not going to want to play alone. Like Bender, this doesn't seem like a game that's going to be very fun doing solo. So it's my concern is just going to be, are we going to constantly have a crew of at least 4 of us playing the game? And it's just like looking at where it's coming out. Like the stuff coming after that, before that, like it's coming out in a very busy time of the year. And I mean, honestly, at this point, that's all year now anyway. So,
Yeah,
um,
it's basically every week of every year.
yeah, and I mean, like even looking at what we have now, like I can see myself still playing Monster Hunter into March. They have the new they're gonna have a new monster coming and a free update later around then. And we got Star Wars Battlefront that I still really like playing. So I mean, like I have already like a couple games, to play with friends that I know like we're all gonna be down to play. It's just my concern is just where is Sea of Thieves going to fit into that mold? Like, is this a game that I'm going to get my $60 out of because we're going to set at least a night aside to play it every week? Are we going to play it like twice, kind of like the first Star Wars Battlefront, fall off of it, and even though we had fun with it, never play it again? That's the big concern that I have with this game. I'm very, very interested, but very, very cautious about picking it up when it comes out. And also just servers in general. I still worry about buying like an online only game, and I'm reminded of Titanfall on launch night. Going to a midnight release, coming home, and staying up until 3 a.m. just trying to connect to the damn servers to play a game, which didn't even get to do launch night. So I do have like those concerns as well. Like, is this game going to launch in a really questionable state online? So stuff like that, just kind of trying to err on the side of caution.
Yeah. No, I pretty much feel the same way, and I would hope that after all these betas and alphas and the development time, that this game will release in some kind of a decent state when it finally launches. I suppose with it being a part of the Game Pass, though, it's going to open itself up to a lot more people than maybe they were initially planning. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are willing to shell out that $10 at least for that first month and just give the game a try and see if it's their cup of tea. So yeah, the servers could be just totally trashed that first week. I have no idea. We'll have to see what becomes of that. But yeah, I'm in the same boat with you, man. Last year didn't give a damn about this game. Had little to no interest in it. But just reading about the game now, specifically this week, a lot of this stuff sounds really cool, like the becoming legend and then the legendary voyages and the different things that they could potentially do with this game all sound really, really interesting. And if Rare does this right, this could turn out to be a really, really cool experience. But yeah, that's the thing for me, Frankie, is just like how many of these like games as a service, like always online or evergreen games, can we possibly fit into our life or play? There's just, with everything in gaming like going this way, it's like every damn game that comes out now is a game that they expect you to just play with no end in sight, and there's just not enough time to play all these games. I still play Destiny every week. I'm still going to continue to play Destiny every week. So it's those kind of games that we already have in our gaming collection, in our gaming like routine. It's like, yeah, it's just I just don't know how many of those can fit in here. And like you said, with Sea of Thieves, coming out at the time it's coming out, Far Cry is going to be coming out. There's going to be other games that are out around that time. Like, is this one going to be able to sink its hooks into us and become a regular part of the rotation? I have my doubts about that as well. But with it being a $10, investment through Game Pass, it's at least worth a shot for that,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's Sea of Thieves. That's kind of where we're at on it. Very, very interesting title at this point. just about a month away from launch now. This game will finally be out. So with that, fellas, we are going to take a break here. We've got some music from Ruel Ethan. Let's check that out, and we'll be right back. And welcome back. Thank you again to Ruel Ethan. He for providing the music for the show. It does the opening and the closing, the music you just heard there. So we appreciate it as always. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. So let's get back on with the news, fellas. And how about this? The Spyro Trilogy Remaster. Supposedly coming to PS4 this year. So I'm going to read from a Kotaku UK article.
Tacos.
Kotaku, yeah. According to multiple sources familiar with the project, Activision is currently working on a Spyro the Dragon Trilogy remaster, which will be announced in March 2018. It's next month, for those of you doing the math, and released in Q3 of 2018. The Trilogy remaster will, much like the highly successful Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, feature new assets, lighting, animation, and cinematics, as well as a remastered soundtrack. It will also feature updates to the saves feature, much like occurred in the Crash remaster, which replaced the original game's password feature with something much more user-friendly. The remaster will include Spyro the Dragon, Ripto's Rage, and Year of the Dragon, and there is the tantalizing promise of some content cut from the original releases of those games. So, interesting. The Spyro remaster will be announced for PS4 with PS4 Pro support sometime in March 2018 and will be releasing in Q3 2018. One source suggested that September would be the launch month, which would be in line with Spyro the Dragon's 20th anniversary. While this detail will not be part of the announcement in March, the game will be a one-year timed exclusive for PS4 before being ported to other systems in 2019. Apparently, the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy is tied to similar one-year exclusivity, so expect to see multiple ports of that in 2018, which is something we did get a chance to talk about last week, but there are some rumors that Crash coming to Switch and PC sometime later this year, and that a new Crash Bandicoot is in development, a brand new one slated for 2019 that will at the very least hit the PS4. Spyro the Dragon Trilogy Remastered is currently under development by Vicarious Visions, the same studio who handled Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy. Given the Bandicoot's success, this release makes a lot of sense. So, Frankie, you've talked about Spyro before. You've talked about how you'd love to see this trilogy remastered. Got to be pretty excited to hear that. According to multiple sources, this project is in the pipeline. It's due out later this year, and it's being handled by Vicarious Visions, who did a fantastic job with Insane Trilogy. That's a sweet, sweet remaster of those games, and if they're able to do that with the Spyro games, I think Spyro's fans are going to be in for one hell of a package. What's your feelings on this, man?
Dude, I am freaking excited. This is actually gonna be on my E3 predictions for this year, so I guess I'll go ahead and just scratch that one off now. But I, like I've said before, I didn't really wasn't a big Crash fan, but the times I played Spyro, I know I'm a piece of garbage, but some of us have to be. So, but I fell in love with Spyro, and kind of Insomniac as a whole, with that. So, I never got to sit down and play through all the games. My cousin only had, I think, the second one, Ripto's Rage. So it's the only one I really have any experience with, but. Man, I'm excited. I've always wanted to sit down and play through those games, from beginning to end, and it'll be really great. Getting those on modern consoles with trophies. Dude, I can't wait. I'm jazzed.
Yeah, so that's 3 games, 3 platinum trophies, and a whole bunch of bronze, silver, and golds in there to collect as well. Yeah, and I can't stress enough. If you have not experienced the Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy, look how fantastic of a job Vicarious Visions did with that material. I mean, seriously, it's like a brand new game. They went in there, they just polished it to a T. The way they did the soundtrack, just everything is just really lovingly recreated in that game. And I even like that there's even the promise of possibly some cut content from the original games making an appearance. That's really cool. Yeah. So not only PS4 but PS4 Pro support as well. So I expect this to be a beautiful looking game. Not too long ago, we saw somebody made like an Unreal 4 demo of what Spyro would look like remastered, and it looked pretty sweet. So
yeah, didn't they do that with Crash? They released some Lost Level DLC or something.
Yeah, they had a DLC which they gave for free to the people that originally bought the game, but I think you can get it for $2.99 now. But yeah, they had a Lost Level. It was a level that was famously cut from the original Crash Bandicoot because of its difficulty. So they added that back in there for masochists to get in there and play with. So yeah, so excited to see this project coming along. Bender, what's your thoughts on this, man? What's your thought of seeing somebody take the Crash Bandicoot approach and apply it to Spyro? Is that something you'd be on board for?
Yeah, definitely. I'd be on board for that. Much like the Crash games, I don't have a lot of experience with the Spyro games. Mm-hmm. I never had a PS1, so I think I played a little bit of the first one, and that's about it. So, just like with Crash, these will be all new games for me. So, I know Spyro's a franchise that a lot of people have really loved over the years. So, it's something I'll definitely want to check out when it comes out.
Yeah, super curious about this. I haven't played through all the Spyro games either. I have very limited experience with them, and I've played them a little bit, and they were fun at the time. So yeah, really curious to see, especially with kind of the reemergence of the 3D platformer. I'd be curious to see how those are received in 2018 here. But yeah, I mean, it was only a matter of time. People have been clamoring for the Spyro remaster ever since Crash came out, and with the success they saw with Crash. Like I said, it was only a matter of time before this became a reality. It was a matter of when, not if, at that point. So, yeah, so sounds like we'll see an official announcement. According to the Kotaku article, they're expecting this to be announced next month. So we will keep our eyes on that and report back accordingly.
It's a good use of that $4 billion revenue from last year.
Yeah. That's just from the microtransactions. Yeah. It's not even from the games that people bought. So. Mm-hmm. Pretty wild. Activision basically just like Scrooge McDuck's vault over there at Activision headquarters. It's pretty wild. I'd
actually be disappointed if they don't literally have just a studio space dedicated to being a giant coin vault.
Yeah, I'd be shocked as well at this point. All right, let's move on to some fighting games here. So,
Yes.
I have some thoughts on this first story here, and I'll try to be succinct in my discourse here and not be all over the place. But so Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite will not be a part of the Capcom Pro Tour apparently. So this is coming off of the fact that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite also not a part of Evo of the Evo 2018 lineup. So this has kind of sent ripples throughout the fighting game community. Obviously Marvel's been a huge staple in the fighting game community for a very long time. It's been at 18 straight Evos. So the fact that or 17 straight Evos, whatever it is, it's been there since 2000. So the fact that it's not a part of Evo 2018 is a huge story. So a couple things I want to talk about here. First of all, something that really irks me about the fighting game community is their resistance to change in all forms. It doesn't matter what the game is. So anytime a new game comes out from your favorite franchise, whether it's Street Fighter or Marvel or Mortal Kombat or whatever it is, there's always this like high level of resistance when a game comes out because it's different than the game that came before it. And I never understand this in the fighting game community. When Street Fighter V came out, there was a big hoo-ha because it wasn't like Street Fighter 4. So why in the hell would you want Capcom to go and make a brand new Street Fighter game and then make it exactly like Street Fighter 4? That literally makes no sense. You just play Street Fighter 4. So I don't understand that every time one of these companies makes a new game, there's always this resistance when it first comes out. So obviously, as we've gone along in Street Fighter, people have learned how to play the game. In 2 years into its life cycle here, it's obviously a well-loved game, and people play it at a very high level at tournaments and all as well. So Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite comes out, and the same thing. There's this high level of resistance to the game from certain players because it's not like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So once again, why in the hell would you want them to make a game and make it exactly like Marvel vs. Capcom 3? We already have that game. It's a great game. It's always going to be there for you to play. It's not going anywhere. So when they make a new game, let's have new mechanics. New things happen. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is much different than Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and I think the game is better for that. I'm not saying it's a better game than Marvel vs. Capcom 3, but it's a unique game, and it's a very, very good game when you get in there and play it and try to wrap your head around the mechanics. So, the people were upset about the roster and how the game looked, and to me, all that stuff was like way overblown with this game. The game looks fine. The roster has some different characters on it, but once again, like, why can't you just learn the new characters? Like, why do you want the same characters that were in the other game in this game? Like, I get it. The Wolverine and Magneto and Doctor Doom are extremely popular characters, and now that Marvel has the Fox license back under Disney, or Disney has the Fox license for some of these other characters that they didn't have access to before as far as movie going. It's a possibility that these characters could return to Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite at some point. So, I don't want to get too far off track with that, but that just really irks me with the community is how they do this. And then like people will start talking about the game or writing the game off, and they're not even playing the game. Like, they don't even know anything about the game. They're just talking about it because this other guy said something about it, and it's just like this weird like hive mind when it comes to gaming. Sometimes it's actually one of the irritating things about video games in general, especially in this social media age that we live in. But it's like you either, there's no gray area with gaming. You either love a game or you hate a game, and that's it. There's no room for civil discourse in between there, right? There's no room to sit down and talk about a game, like talk about what you like about a game, what you don't like about a game, what could be improved, like all that kind of stuff. It's like either A, this game's a 10 and it rocks, or B, this game sucks ass and it's a 1. And I never want to play this game again. Like, there's no middle ground in video gaming, and it's very frustrating. And it comes into play with stuff like this too. Like, when people talk about Marvel vs. Capcom, they don't play the game. They have no idea anything about the game. They just read something on Twitter or what somebody else says, and they just kind of go with that. It's the same thing with like Destiny. Like the people that talk about Destiny or that have issues with Destiny, they usually don't play Destiny. They just listen to what some other guy said about Destiny, and then they just that becomes their opinion. So in the fighting game community, when Evo doesn't select your game for to be displayed there, when it's been there for 17 years straight, and when Capcom doesn't support Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite on their Pro Tour, like then the community's like, all right, well, what's going on with this game? You know, it is like what is going on here? So and from Capcom's perspective, I'm trying to figure that out myself. Like, what are you doing with this game? Like when Street Fighter V came out, it faced a very similar situation to what Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite has. Like it came out, it undersold based on their projections. It's severely undersold. In fact, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite and Street Fighter V sold about the same amount when they first came out. They were right around that million mark when they came out. And I have to imagine Marvel was probably way more profitable than Street Fighter because Marvel was made on a shoestring budget, as far as we understand. But Capcom knew, like, this is Street Fighter. This is like their horse. They have a long-term plan for this, so they stuck with it. They've continued to develop the game and patch it. And as we stand right now, 2 years into the life cycle of Street Fighter V, it has finally hit its stride with Arcade Edition, and it's finally the game that people wanted when it came out. It's always been an excellent fighting game, always. From day one, mechanically sound, as Street Fighter has always been. It's always been a fantastic game in that regard, but now it has the overall package to go around with it. So now you release Marvel, and it's had its fair share of hiccups. You know, like I said, people have issues with some of the look of the game, the package, the overall package, the story mode, not great. You know, Frankie, you've talked about that on the show before. The arcade mode is not there, like all that kind of stuff around the game. Like that stuff's missing. But we're only a few months into the life of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, so it's like if you're gonna release this game, you're not even gonna try to develop it, or I'm just like, what was even the point? You know, I'm asking Capcom this. Like, if you're gonna make this game and you're not even gonna support it or do any of that kind of stuff, like what's the point of even releasing this game? You're just trying to cash out really quick and get who you can. It boggles my mind here. And I know, Frankie, you wanna hop in here, so go ahead.
Yeah. So I was actually they talked about this on the Giant Bombcast last week, and Jason Astracker actually brought up a lot of really good points with this as well. Like his big thing with why Capcom probably isn't is just because Disney is a f***ing nightmare to work with video games. From what we gathered from the EA fallout with Star Wars, and he was kind of speculating too, like with Capcom, like this is the first time they're having to work with Disney to do one of these games, and like we see like Disney resistant to doing cosmetic items as DLC and stuff like that. So he's kind of thinking that maybe Disney is making this game's development hell on them, like the things that they can and can't do with the game with, the Marvel characters. So, he's kind of speculated that, maybe it's at a point now where Capcom's kind of, they're treading water trying to get this game to where they want it to be because, Disney is either dragging their feet with approvals or just not working with them. So, yeah, I'm not sure, how much, credibility is in that speculating, but from, like I said, what we've heard with EA and Disney, like it doesn't sound like it's that far off base that, Capcom is probably just, struggling trying to figure out how they're going to support this game, but also appease Disney. So I think a lot of that's probably playing into this decision to kind of leave it off. It sucks because like you mentioned, before, like watching high level play streams of that game is very entertaining. And I agree with you too. You mentioned people kind of resistant to playing newer games. And, I think the interesting thing for me is like, I've always been a Mortal Kombat fan. So, and I've just played the games. I've never, they put out new Mortal Kombat, I play it and I typically enjoy it. And that goes for, the 3D Mortal Kombats that everyone hates, like Deadly Alliance and Deception. I liked those games. I thought they were fun. But it also like kind of is, the series has gone on, watching go through that phase, and then, Mortal Kombat 9 comes out and it's kind of a return to form, in a modern age. Like I think it makes like that return to form much more sweeter. And I think the same was true with Street Fighter 4. I don't think Street Fighter 3 was received very well, and then 4 came out and I thought 4, put Street Fighter and fighting games back on the map. So, and then again, you see him kind of stumbling around with, with people like you mentioned, kind of lukewarm to coming into Street Fighter V because the last game was so damn great, and then just coming into the next one, you're like, well, this last one was so great. Why can't you just keep building on that? And it's weird because you come back to kind of like that games as a service thing, and it's like, well, why not just bring back Street Fighter 4 and release an updated version? Add new characters to Street Fighter 4 if that's what people want. I mean, if you're gonna make a game like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite on a shoestring budget, you can do the same thing with that. And if that's what people want, let them have it. It would be sad to not get like a proper new Street Fighter game if that were the case. Which obviously I think Street Fighter V is a great game. And especially seeing that game come along to what it is now. It's crazy looking at what that game was when it came out to where we're at now. So, my hats off to them. Like they turned that game around very well, I think. But I don't know. I'm also like looking at the Evo lineup. Like the thing I'm tired of is all the Smash Brothers tournaments. I love Smash Brothers. It's a fun game to play. But my God, is Smash Brothers like one of the most boring tournaments there? It's people playing as Jigglypuff and like guarding the ledge so that people fall. Like it's not fun watching Smash Brothers tournaments. I love playing Smash Brothers, but man, is that a boring tournament to watch. But one of the other really cool things I know he mentioned too was they're going to be focusing on streaming a lot of the smaller tournaments this year too. So like I know Underbirth was mentioned as one that's they're probably they're going to have a side tournament of King of Fighters, all those other fighting games that are really great. They're going to have side tournaments. So I assume we'll see a Marvel somewhere in there, maybe just not advertising.
There will be a Marvel side tournament. They're already getting that together.
So I
no doubt.
I just imagine it's probably mostly the relationship with Disney is probably just a little too much for them to want to do something on a grand stage with.
That's what I'm curious about with this is where the Disney angle comes into all this. Like, is this all Disney? Like, is that what we're dealing with here? Is this just simply Capcom can't do exactly what they want because they're dealing with Disney, or is there more to it than that? It's difficult because I feel like different people are saying different things, or they're giving like mixed messages. Like when they were announcing the Evo games, they were talking about people playing the game and that kind of stuff, but it didn't ring true because if you go back through and there's several studies on this recently, not studies, but there's data to back this up. Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is a very large draw at these major tournaments that it's played at, and it's still played at every major tournament. It's just not going to be played at EVO this year, and it regularly draws more people than Guilty Gear, than Injustice, than a lot of the other games that are going to be on the EVO stage. So when they're talking about people not playing the game, or when they were announcing the EVO lineup, like that didn't ring true, and so it's like, is this a Disney thing and they just can't say it? Like, is Capcom dealing with that? And it's just really weird, man. Because Infinite came out and it had all that DLC like ready to go. So basically, it was like they just took the characters out of the game. It was like, all right, we got these guys ready to go, but we're just gonna sell them to you as DLC instead. So that, of course, rubbed people the wrong way. They came out with a new balance patch not long ago. It was about a few weeks back, maybe a month ago at this point, that balanced the characters, and that's the kind of support that people want to see from the game. It's just Capcom has been radio silent on what is going on with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So they finished their Battle for the Stones tournament, which was the first major Marvel vs. Capcom tournament for Infinite. And I thought that went pretty well. It was a pretty big draw in terms of Twitch. I watched a lot of it. It was a lot of fun to watch. But yeah, once that finished up, there's just been no word on what's going on with the game and what kind of support Capcom is going to give to it moving forward. And that's frustrating people. It's frustrating me. It's frustrating fans. But there's still a huge group around Marvel, a huge group that loves to play this game. They're going to continue to play this game and continue to give it a presence at tournaments. It's still going to be played, like I said, at many of the major tournaments moving forward. It will have a side tournament at EVO. So it's good to see the community is going to be there still playing the game. But I just hope there's some clarity that comes out of this. And yeah, that EVO lineup, man, it's like, yeah, they got the 2 Smash Brothers games, and they have Guilty Gear, Dragon Ball, and Blaze Blue Tag Battle, which isn't even out yet. So they're talking about like people playing, players of the game or whatever, and nobody even knows who's going to play that game because it's literally just coming out a few weeks before EVO. So that was kind of weird as well. So yeah, they got the 3 games there, and all 3 of those games are different, but they're also similar. They're all Arc System Works games. They play similar to a certain extent. So you basically got 5 games there between the 8 that all play very similarly. Marvel vs. Capcom plays nothing like any other game at EVO. Regardless if it's a tag game or not. I know people have tried to say that Dragon Ball or like Blaze Blue will kind of replace Marvel in terms of like a tag battle game, or it'll be the next like up and coming tag battle game. But nothing plays like Infinite. Infinite is really fun to watch. So there's gonna be a hole in Evo for me this year that I'm really disappointed in. But I'll be tuning in for the side tournament. Sorry to ramble on about Marvel vs. Capcom for so long here, but I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Yeah,
and
I mean, it's frustrating too, because like for me, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite was the first Marvel vs. Capcom game that I really tried to get into, and it is like Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is much more easy for someone like myself who you watch those high level Evo tournaments and just give people popping off supers left and right, and it's insane. And hopping into Infinite, which is much more welcoming to people like me who don't know how to do any of that stuff. Like I have had a good time playing Infinite. Like that's one that I wanted to stick with, and honestly, I think once I finally pick up a fight stick, like that's a game I want to get back to. Like I liked playing that game a lot. All the different characters in there were really great. And it was fun to play. Like even though the story wasn't anything cool, like seeing Ryu freaking Shiryuken and Elder Dragon was awesome, So it's just even if it wasn't the greatest story ever, it still had its moments that were just ridiculously cool. So but yeah, I agree. It's a game that I think deserves fighting game fans' attention, and it's like I said, it's a lot of fun to play. Just the story is not that exciting. Big deal.
Yeah, I mean the gameplay's never been in question, which is the crazy thing about all this. The gameplay has always been lauded. Like it's very fast paced, and like you said, it is welcoming the new players with the auto combo system. It lets you kind of get into the flow of the game, and it's obviously with high level players, they take those auto combos and turn them into these crazy combos that you can do at a high level. So it does find a very nice balance between the casual gamer and the hardcore fighting fan. So it's got a great fighting system, and really what they've done with the game in terms of what they had available to them has been really impressive. Especially if it was developed on the shoestring budget that we've been told it was developed on. And that's the other thing that's crazy to me. Like you have to assume that with this game, pushing 1 million copies in a few months here, that it has to be profitable if they developed it on such a small budget. That's what seems crazy to me. Like something's not adding up here. It's just like if you're gonna make Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, like why even make it if you're not gonna if you don't have a plan for it, if you're not gonna support it or any of that kind of stuff, just because it didn't sell 2 million copies at launch, all of a sudden it's just out to the trash. Like I don't understand that. Like I said, Street Fighter V did the exact same thing. They spent the time on it, they developed it, they patched it, they supported it, and now it's in the place that it is now. The same exact thing can happen with Marvel. So hopefully this is just kind of a bump in the road, and we gotta iron out whatever it is with Disney or whoever is making these decisions and get this back on track. But yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. We wish you guys the best. We'll keep playing the game. I know the community is gonna keep playing it and keep holding it up. And hopefully, people will get over the look of it and whatever characters in the game and just accept the game for what it is and just continue to play it. I know there's a lot of people that already have, and there's a lot of high level Marvel players that continue to play it. But in the absence of a hardcore competitive scene without Capcom Cup and without Evo, like it's left a bad taste in people's mouth, because that's what fighting game players live for. Like they live for the competition. So, all right, let's move on from there. I've rambled on about that long enough. Dragon Ball FighterZ first DLC characters have been revealed, and it's Bardock and Broly. Broly's one of my favorite Dragon Ball characters, so pumped that he's in this first lineup here. But he's always been such an awesome character. I know he's gonna kick ass here. Frankie, what do you think about these two guys joining the lineup?
Actually, don't know a lot about him, so I did cave and pick up the season pass though. So
nice.
That's exciting.
Yeah,
I can't wait to play more of that game. I've only played a little bit of it. I took it over to my buddy's house because he was asking about it and wanted to try it out. Yeah. So we fired it up, played a couple of rounds, and that I cannot wait. I want to sit down at some point and just kind of like figure out my team and everything with that game. So
Yeah,
that'll be fun.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, Broly was in. He was in 3 Dragon Ball movies. He was in 8, 10, and 13. Is it 13 or is it 11? No, not 13. 8, 10, and 11. I think are the ones he showed up in. But yeah, he was just this really cool. He's like the ultimate Super Saiyan. He's like the legendary like lost Super Saiyan or whatever. He's a sweet character. But can't wait to play as him. All right, so let's move on from fighting games. We'll wake Bender up out of his chair. Let's get into
Just don't move.
get into some Nintendo news. So Nintendo looking to extend the console cycle with the Switch. So extend the normal console cycle. So Nintendo is enjoying a wave of success with the Switch, obviously, which has outsold the Wii U 10 months into its life cycle. At the company's investor call, director and creative lead Shigeru Miyamoto outlined plans for the console, which are ambitious to say the least. Miyamoto seems confident that the usual console life cycle of 5 to 6 years is something that Nintendo can prolong for the Switch. Nintendo has a system in place whereby the software developers focus on these hardware features in their development efforts for the continuation of the Nintendo Switch business, Miyamoto said in a recent investor Q&A. Up until now, the hardware lifecycle has trended at around 5 or 6 years, but it would be very interesting if we could prolong that lifecycle, and I think you should be looking forward to that. Miyamoto also touched on plans for their marketing strategy to instill a desire to purchase Nintendo Switch among a wide consumer base all around the world, citing the portability of the console as its biggest attraction. Our ultimate ambition is for a Nintendo Switch to be owned not just by every family, but by every single person. So Nintendo wants a Switch in every single person's hand, every single person, not just families. If consumers come to take it for granted that everybody has a Nintendo Switch, then we can create new and very Nintendo genres of play, and Nintendo Switch can have a life apart from smart devices and other video game systems. Expanding the Nintendo Switch world this way is a means of eliminating risk. So, Bender, what are your thoughts on this, man? A Switch life cycle that would extend beyond 5 or 6 years. So one of the things to note here is obviously the technology in the Switch is already underpowered when compared to the PS4 and the Xbox One and hell, just smartphones in general. So when Nintendo talks about extending the life cycle of this device past 6 years, is that feasible? Are people going to be okay? Like, is the novelty of carrying your games on the go with you 6 years in still going to be driving sales of this console, you think?
I don't know, because obviously we're getting to a place where we're nearing the time when they're going to be announcing like the next PlayStation, the next Xbox, within the next few years. So if they're planning on having the Switch last longer than 6 years, I imagine at some point they would have to come up with an updated version of it or a new iteration of it, because when you think about like the 3DS, it's been around for longer than 6 years, but they've introduced like the new 3DS, and they probably consider that to be part of the 3DS's same life cycle, even though it's an upgraded hardware with better specs. So I imagine they could potentially come up with something down the line that's going to be like the new Switch or some sort of upgraded Switch with better hardware or and better processing or whatever, and still consider it the Nintendo Switch, but and just kind of extend the life cycle that way. So that's something that could happen down the line, but yeah, they're definitely not going to be able to keep this same iteration of the Switch hardware and keep it going for 8 or 10 years. I don't think. I think the novelty would wear off, and the technology would surpass it more than it already has.
Yeah. Do you, Bender? Do you think this whole like we talked about the novelty wearing off? Like, is this whole portable games thing, like, is this sustainable for the long haul? Are phones just gonna overtake this at some point, and this whole thing is gonna wear off? Or do you think that because it's a Nintendo product and because it's like these big time like big video game experiences like Mario and like Zelda on the Switch, do you think there's always going to be a place for something like this portably in this like phone landscape that we live in right now?
I think there will be, as long, I mean, at least for hardcore
Hmm.
gamers like us. I mean, I love to have, big games like that on the go on my Switch that I can take with me. Those are games that a phone still can't really
Yeah.
replicate. And like we've always talked about, I mean, I prefer to have a controller and play with buttons and sticks rather than a touchscreen
Yeah.
interface. You just can't do as much with a touchscreen as you can with, an
Hmm.
actual controller. So I mean, I think the Switch could maintain its popularity just because of the portability
Yeah.
aspect of it, for many years. In my opinion, it
Definitely.
could.
What do you think, Frankie? You agree with Bender?
Yeah, I do. I think at some point in time we're gonna see like that, 3DS XL, new 3DS. Like I think we're gonna see that approach brought onto the Switch, especially if like over time you start seeing the Switch kind of become Nintendo's main focus. As we kind of get away from the 3DS. And I think that's kind of like like we have the new Pokemon game that might be coming out this year. Like I think that's kind of gonna be like Nintendo's like starting point of okay, this is going to be our system. This is where we're going to start focusing all of our developments. All of our teams are going to be working on games for the Switch. So I think finding a way to prolong, the life cycle of the system, and kind of keep the momentum that you not only have from the indie development community, but also, Nintendo's powerhouse of studios as well. I think, seeing the success of that thing, they want, that's exactly what they want. Like, okay, well, we're selling millions of these things. People are running out, buying them, and I'm hitting a point now where I'm starting to see kids wandering around, the grocery store playing Zelda, which I think is really cool. Like, seeing someone wander around just playing like a big, massive Zelda game. That's awesome. But yeah, I do agree with Bender too on the whole like the controller. I hate playing games on the touchscreen. Like playing on a phone, the screen's a lot smaller. And I know that was like a concern with the Switch was, oh, well, it's kind of bulky, you're not going to want to carry it around in your pocket. Like, no, it's a game system. Why the hell would I want to carry it around just my pocket, But so I'm wondering, like, it won't, as we get to that point, like, are they going to, is like the next iteration of the Switch going to be bigger? We're going to see more of an emphasis on, what it can do in docked mode. And, I'm not one to like care much about resolution, but like as time goes on, I don't see, companies like EA or I don't want to say Ubisoft because obviously they're the exception here, but like Activision, like I don't see them looking at the Switch and putting out games on it that are unique to that system, like Ubisoft has with Marvel or with Mario Rabbids. Like I think the Switch kind of requires like a new like mindset if you're going to put out a game on it, and do something cool for the system, kind of like Ubisoft has done. So. I don't want to keep seeing, like 2K putting out WWE and you have to download this massive title update and stuff like that. Like, I think those are kind of like early problems that the system has now, but I want to see those ironed out over time.
Yeah. And let's be honest. I mean, Ubisoft made Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle because they had the Mario license, right? Like, if they came out and they did a Rabbids Kingdom Battle, like, would anybody have really cared? Even if it was the same exact game, but it had the same great
Probably
gameplay?
not.
Like, probably not. So
that's a fair point.
So they went ahead and they made that game because they had access to the Mario license. So that's kind of the problem that third parties have had with Nintendo over the years, right? It's like trying to break through that first party barrier that Nintendo has with their systems, like the Marios and the Zeldas and the Mario Karts and the Smash Brothers and all these things sell millions and millions and millions of copies, and that's what people want to play on these devices. And anytime a third party tries to like break through there, it's just like it's tough pickings. But yeah, if Ubisoft or EA or one of these companies has access to their IP, like hell yeah, man, they're gonna make one of these games and it's gonna sell millions of copies. So, yeah, but I agree with everything you guys said. It'll be interesting to see Nintendo strategy moving forward, and yeah, if they just iterate on the Switch, like it'd be interesting. Maybe the Switch is their like final console design. And moving forward, we just see them continuously iterate on the Switch and update the technology. And I mean, I know they're Nintendo and they always want to be innovative and do weird new things, but they've kind of like found the kind of the middle ground between the casual and the hardcore gamer, and like this is what their fans want from them. Like they want a Nintendo that has a handheld and a home console that's all in one. It kind of combines both of their strategies over the years into like one perfect device. So maybe maybe they don't need to do anything else from here on out.
I think too it's interesting because I know when the Switch was coming out, we were talking a lot about like the mobile game aspect of it, and like the expectations that people who are mobile gamers have, like, oh well, I'm only going to pay $1 for my game.
Yep.
And I think it's really great that we've seen all these indies who come out on the Switch, and a lot of them have enjoyed a lot of success. Even like Meat Boy, I think when that came out to the Switch, they said that thing had sold pretty damn close to the 360 launch, window of Meat Boy. So like seeing people not only like buy the system but embrace buying a lot of these indie games that are around that $10-$20 price range, I think that's great too.
Yeah. No, I think that's been huge for them. It's like you said, it's one of the things we talked about before the system even came out. We talked about Nintendo like getting that indie presence on their system. They've done that in droves. They've brought damn near every indie game under the sun over to the Switch, and yeah, it's a natural fit on that device. A lot of those games are, quick burst experiences. They're, they have that kind of one more life, one more run kind of feel to a lot of those games. So yeah, they work incredibly well on that system, and it's just been it's been a boon for them. It's been an incredible first year for the Switch. Yeah. Really curious to see how we go from here now that there's no Mario or Zelda on the horizon anymore. It's all other stuff. Of course, Pokemon on the horizon. That's going to be huge when that eventually does release. Our next Nintendo story. They're teasing their next paid online service announcement, and they say it'll be worth the wait. So Nintendo's managing executive officer, Shinya Takahashi, says that there are some aspects of the company's upcoming paid online service that will be worth the wait. The online service was discussed in an investor Q&A. Nintendo president Tatsumi Kimishima said that the service is going to be just one component of the company's plan to diversify how their games are played, as well as how they'll get more people to play them. Nintendo's online paid service for the Switch was initially planned to launch last year, but of course it was delayed into 2018. The service is now planned for a September launch, and we've not had much more information other than the prices for the membership plans and the names of a few titles that will be included in the classic game selection. That is why we want to apply substantial resources to the online service, with the thinking that we will devote our energies to making this a for-pay service, said Kimishima. As for how we will popularize the service, it is less about the mechanism and more a question of what kinds of products can we offer, and the spread of the service will depend on whether consumers will want what we offer. Takahashi said that they have ideas on how to make the service appealing, adding that their next announcement will be worth the wait. What is going to be worth the wait from this Nintendo online service?
I have an idea.
Enlighten
now,
us.
This might sound crazy. So they have a very inexpensive, online service, like $20 for a year.
Yep.
It's kind of a no-brainer as it is. But what if, they, this whole time, we haven't heard much talk of the Virtual Console other than we hear you. So what if we see some kind of rotating library of games or something? You just have access to a ton of classic games every month or whatever, and they rotate titles in and out, kind of like Game Pass. I think doing something like that and rolling that into your online subscription, I think that would be really awesome, because there's a lot of games in there that I would love to play.
I think that would be great. Don't think for that price though. I don't think there's any way Nintendo would give us that for $20 a year, whatever the service is. So they know that those old games and that their IP are like gold for them, so that they can basically charge people whatever the hell they want. People are going to pay for it. So I find it hard to believe that they would do that for the $20 a month. Now, I could see them announcing like a pro tier, like a gold tier or whatever, and you could get that plan, and then for $60 a year you could have access to a rotating selection of Nintendo games. Like I could see them doing something like that. It's definitely a possibility. But yeah, the Virtual Console has to be a part of this at some point. It just has to be. They can't just abandon this idea. There's people like waiting on pins and needles for this thing. So hopefully that's the part of the announcement that will be worth the wait. But I don't know. What do you think, Bender? Are we going to be, is the Virtual Console going to be worth the wait? Is that what we're talking about here? Probably not.
I really have no idea at this point. Yeah, I just don't know what to expect out of this, and I just wish they would just go ahead and tell us what they're planning so we can know what to expect, but I have no idea.
It's just so crazy how you could have a Switch that's been out for a year and a half at the point when this thing's going to release, and then you finally release your online service in 2018. you wait a year and a half to release your online service for your system, and people don't really care. So Nintendo just is gonna do whatever they want, and people are gonna keep buying the Switch, and it doesn't really matter, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. I'll bitch about it and talk about it, but yeah, at the end of the day, nobody cares. So let's move on from there. So Hearthstone not coming to the Switch, Blizzard has confirmed. Frankie, you surprised by this?
Kind of. I felt like the Switch would have been a good fit for that game. So I'm kind of disappointed, honestly, because I'd actually really like to get into that game, but I just don't want to play it on my phone.
Yeah.
So kind of bummed, but also kind of not surprised.
Bender, you shedding a tear over this one?
Not really, but I mean, Frankie's right. It would have been a good fit for the Switch. I have played Hearthstone a little bit on my phone. It is a cool card game.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's whatever.
What do you think's the reasoning behind that? You think it's just they just really see this as like a mobile game and it's for a mobile environment, as opposed to like a console game?
I don't know, but isn't it on PC as well? I mean,
yeah, it's on PC.
I mean, just
they have tournaments and everything.
They do,
too,
yeah.
So
yeah, it doesn't seem to make any sense. But I mean, we don't see Blizzard trying to put anything else on the Switch either. So I don't know.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, Hearthstone doesn't seem terribly demanding. Seems like it would be fine on the Switch, but who knows? All right, a couple other things we're gonna note from Nintendo here. The Blob Remastered has been announced for Nintendo Switch. So this will be coming over to the platform now sometime later this year. Runner 3 has been finished, Frankie. Development has finished, been submitted to Nintendo. So if all that goes well, hopefully it won't be too long before that game surfaces on the Switch. Capcom has said that Monster Hunter World would be difficult to bring to Nintendo Switch. Frankie, you know what wouldn't be difficult to bring to Nintendo Switch? The Monster Hunter game that's already on Nintendo Switch.
Yeah,
damn
right.
Why don't you just bring that one over to the West? There's already a Monster Hunter game on the Switch.
I don't understand it. Like, I thought about importing it, but I don't understand. Like, just bring the damn game over. Now is the time. Like, everyone, you're 6 million copies sold. Like, people love Monster Hunter World. Switch owners don't have a Monster Hunter game. Obviously, you hear all the buzz about Monster Hunter, see it advertised everywhere else, and to hear that you're getting a game on your system that is selling very well for everybody. Why the hell wouldn't you just bring the damn game west?
I wonder if that game has English language options, because if it does, you can just download it from the Japanese eShop and just play it.
It's a really great point.
I have to look into that.
Yeah, I don't believe it does have an English language option.
Probably
I might
not.
be mistaken on that. Isn't there there might be a Hong Kong version of the game though that does.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Then again, if there was already an English version ready to go, I would imagine they would just bring that out if it was already done, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. From what I've heard, there are some Japanese-only games that for some reason they put in an English language option and they still never come to the West. That's just what I heard.
Some of them they just don't think will sell, I guess, just based on the material.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's weird because Capcom's been bringing pretty much all of their Monster Hunter games over here for the last few years. I mean, the 3DS has seen pretty much all of them that have come out have made their way over here. So the fact that they have one on the Switch, this super popular console right now, and they have a franchise in Monster Hunter that, like Frankie just mentioned, has sold 6 million copies on PS4 and Xbox One at this point, and the fact that they haven't, maybe they're thinking about it, but they haven't talked about bringing the one that they already have on the Switch over here is really strange.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep our eye on that one.
There's no English version for the Switch version of Double Cross, but there is for the 3DS.
Boo.
It's I mean, you pretty much have to read in a Monster Hunter game. There's no way with the density of these games that you could pull one over and just kind of wing it and hope you could hit the right buttons as you're going through it.
Yeah, because you're basically, as you're upgrading your weapons, especially, you're trying to figure out like it kind of gives you an idea of what monsters to hunt. So
Yeah.
if you can't read what monsters you need to hunt,
It's makes things tough.
it does indeed. So
How about this? Nintendo says EA satisfied with FIFA Switch sales. More to come.
I'm shocked.
Talking to French outlet Le Numérique, Philippe Levoux, general manager of Nintendo France, said that FIFA 18 on the Switch was a test match for EA, which is satisfied with the result. The game has sold 73,000 physical units in France, and Levoux expects the game to sell twice that amount with the upcoming World Cup in Russia. What do you think about that, Bender? EA satisfied with FIFA Switch sales. That doesn't that doesn't sound overly enthusiastic.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad they were able to satisfy their precious sensibilities with our meager Switch system.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know, Frankie. When you hear satisfied, does that you think EA is like jumping in circles, or do you think they're just like that's like, hey, we tried a game and at least we didn't go under on it.
We put out this half-assed version of a game and people bought it.
Yeah.
So I don't know. My thing with them right now is I'm really gonna be curious to see how Fee does, because that came out on the Switch and that's an EA Originals game. So I think if they see that thing run away with a lot of success on the Switch, that maybe we'll see EA kind of shift their focus and bring some more indie games like that to the Switch.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's going to be their focus with this, I'd be totally fine with that. If they want to just seek out these really cool indie experiences and bring those over under their EA Originals label, and hell, that'd be great too.
Yeah. Gotcha. Cool. I agree. So that is going to do it for the Nintendo news. Let's talk some Destiny, fellas. Faction rallies are returning this Tuesday. This time, you can knock out lost sectors as fast as you can kill the bosses with no timers to hold you back. So if you guys remember, last faction rally, for some inexplicable reason, Bungie put these caps on how many tokens you could earn and when you could go back in and kill the bosses. It was a mess. So they fixed that for this one. You can now mine lost sectors as much as you want with no timers to hold you back. So start thinking about which faction deserves your loyalty. New Monarchy, of course, has won the last 2 rallies. Will they get the 3-peat? Bender, who are we gonna go with here this time around? What's your early read on this between New Monarchy, Dead Orbit, and Future War Cult? So it appears we have a. Go ahead, give me your thoughts.
I don't. With no knowledge whatsoever, I'm just gonna say Future War Cult is due.
Future War Cult is due. Okay. So one of the other things they've done with the faction rally is they've upped the loot pool this time around as well. So all the weapons that were up for prize weapons the last faction rally, those will be in the loot pool this time around. Then we'll also have 3 other weapons that are added in there, 1 from each faction, as part of the loot pool as well. So, so there'll be a lot more weapons to get. That was the other problem with the last faction rally. There was one weak ass sidearm that was available between all of the 3 factions. That was the only other new weapon that you were available to get outside of the prize weapons. So people are grinding for these engrams, and they're like, I'm gonna buy this weak ass sidearm, and then that's it. I'm done. So we have now 6 weapons to stake our claim on. And some of these look pretty sweet. Really like the way this Dead Orbit gun looks in particular.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be out there grinding, trying to get some packages. But here's the weapons that we're looking at here. So New Monarchy has a pulse rifle. A very sick-looking pulse rifle, if I might add. Dead Orbit has a pulse rifle, which also looks really cool. And Future War Cult has a scout rifle. Don't have the stats or anything on these in front of me, but at first blush, Bender, you think the scout rifle for Future War Cult, you think that's going to be the one that's going to draw people in?
Possibly. Those Dead Orbit weapons do look pretty sweet, though. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the, I don't know, I just love the design on them with the white scratches that go through them. Just look really cool. That New Monarchy pulse rifle, though, from what I understand, this pulse rifle has Rampage on it, which is the perk that Origin Story has on it, which gives you extra damage for getting as you get kills, which is a really beastly perk. So this is a high damage pulse rifle with that perk. New Monarchy, man. This might be the way to go again. when all is said and done. They could end up three-peating with that gun. We'll see what becomes of it. But that'll start Tuesday. Get back in there. Frankie, you gonna be joining us, man, for the faction rally?
Between listening to you guys and there's actually a new podcast that started up this past week called the Sandbox Side Quest. Like, between all the Destiny conversations I've been listening to, like, I am starting to like get interested in playing it again. I just, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to play Destiny alone. That's the part that I'm like, if I install it, are people gonna be around to play, or it's that whole thing. So
well,
maybe
you're
We'll see.
part of a podcast with 3 other people that incessantly play Destiny 2. So I think the odds are pretty strong that when you want to play Destiny 2, there will be a group of us there to play with you. In fact, I'd put money on it.
Yeah, no, that's what we were talking about earlier. Like I think I think 3-player games, like that's the thing I don't like about Destiny. Like, over time, especially, like, it's the fact that you're limited to a 3-player squad. You have 6 people for raids. It's like, open it up to 4 players at least. Just let us all play together.
Yeah. The
Drives me
great
nuts.
short pause problem. The 4-man fire team. Eventually. Now, Franklin, what I've been wanting to do for a while now is get the raid going. So, Bender, I know you agree with me. I know Brent wants to get in here as well. So sooner rather than later, we're going to make another attempt on this raid. Can I count on you to be there?
Probably need to level up a bit,
Won't be a problem.
I think.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could be convinced to raid.
Okay. All right. Well, that's better than a hard no. We'll work with that. Now, probably the more interesting part of the update this week is the fact that Bungie talked a little bit about the sandbox changes, specifically that are coming to the exotic weapons, which is something that we've been talking about for a while. And this is pretty exciting stuff. So this is from John Wisniewski, who's one of the senior designers on Destiny 2. Hello, players. I'm here to talk to you about the work going into the exotic tuning pass on the Destiny 2 roadmap. When Destiny first launched, we built, playtested, and shipped a batch of exotic weapons that we hoped would be worthy of your time and hype. Shortly after release, we were happily inundated, that's probably putting it lightly, with a mountain of player feedback. This allowed us to check our assumptions, do some tuning, and push out one of the first Destiny sandbox updates, which were solely focused on exotic weapons. We're doing this again with Destiny 2, and this time we're including exotic weapons and armor. So these are the goals for this tune-up. So, tuning pass on exotic gear focused on adding and or increasing player power spikes. A focus on low usage items, but all items are being considered. And lean into an item's established gameplay and push it harder. Avoid catch-all improvements that dilute item identity. So this is pretty much perfect for what we want to see for the exotic weapons. Like, we want to see them be unique. We want to see their power increased. Because there's really not a lot of signature exotics in Destiny 2 right now. I think we can all agree on that. There's not a lot that we use more so than any other one, or one that stands out in the meta or anything like that. Outside of a few here and there with, like, Merciless or like the Mida multi-tool, like those ones are great guns that stand out. The Colony, the Wardcliff coil, like these are ones that people use a lot. But for the most part, there's a lot of them that need some love. So how does this all play out? We can look at the Graviton Lance as an example. This is awesome because that's a sweet gun that I wish was better. And it's one of the first ones that they're going to talk about here. The functional concept is a weapon that fires 2 cosmic void rounds that create a 0 air resistance tunnel for a high caliber precision shot to fire through. The first 2 rounds have almost no recoil and prime the air, and the third round does high damage with no fall off. A kill knocks the body back with considerable force, it tumbles and then explodes. This is the concept behind Graviton Lance. It makes an awesome noise when you shoot it, like that thumping like bass that comes out of the Graviton Lance is sweet. Resounding player feedback has been along the lines of looks great, sounds great, neat explosion. I can't get kills in PvP because all the damage is at the end of the burst, and it kicks too hard for the follow-up, and I can't reliably damage targets with the death explosion in any activity because the body goes flying too far backwards. So, all spectacle, not enough utility. To target the first pain point, we reduced the recoil of the burst, added some aim assist, and changed it from 3 rounds to 2. This still plays into the fantasy of a low-damage, gravity-neutralizing round, forming a projectile tunnel for the last bullet. It also allows us to ensure that the damage per burst is at a competitive level for PvP engagements. In fact, Graviton has a slight mathematical edge against other pulse rifles. On the second feedback item, we did some tuning to the ragdoll body. We made it so that rather than violently flying backwards and likely out of range of a potential splash damage opportunity, the defeated opponent floats back and up. Then we made the explosion bigger, increasing the damage, and added some void field projectiles that seek out any remaining targets. This is one of the more exaggerated examples to help describe how we're looking at our goals and applying them to the gear. At the time of this writing, the weapons that are not getting an update are Merciless, Telesto, Wardcliff Coil, Might of Multi-Tool, Colony, Legend of Acreus, and Vigilance Wing. So those are all like the sweet exotics right now. Like, those ones aren't getting touched. Some of the above perform well without needing changes, while others, like the Vigilance Wing Pulse Rifle, are already benefiting from the tuning changes planned for Update 1.1.4. Everything else has had some degree of power or utility increase, whether it's simply bumping a stat or some deeper plumbing as described above. So just think about what they're doing with the Graviton Lance there. So they're basically increasing its damage. They're making it so the guy doesn't fly backwards, but he flies up. And then the explosion's way bigger. It has a much bigger chance of damaging enemies in a group. And it's also going to benefit from the buff that's coming to pulse rifles, which is a much needed buff in this next round. So I can't wait to get my hands on pulse rifles again. Bender, what do you think about this, man? You hyped for the exotic pass? You hyped to maybe use the Graviton Lance instead of just have it sitting in your vault? You hyped to for pulse rifles to actually be useful again for the most part?
Yeah, that all sounds pretty cool to me. I actually had no idea that the Graviton Lance was supposed to be able to do all that. Never even noticed that with that. I guess I haven't used it enough, really, but yeah, I'll definitely be using it now. That sounds like a pretty cool perk to have on it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got that like void damage that it does at the end, like sucks you into the black hole and explodes, and like the extra damage at the end of the clip and all that stuff. Like, it should be a sweet ass gun. But yeah, it needs some work, and it sounds like this kind of work that they're putting into it, like, this is exactly what I want to see from what they do to the exotics. So I'm excited to see what they do to the rest of the guns now, and really like change the way that we use our exotic, collection right now. John also mentions they'll be back to talk about exotic masterworks pretty soon. So really curious to see how they do that. What do you think about all this stuff, Frankie? You down to use some Graviton Lance, like rebuffed and retooled?
Yeah, pulse rifles were my first love in the first Destiny, so, and it was obviously the choice I went with when we got to pick which gun we got. I went with the pulse rifle because that's, again, first love. So, but I remember we did one of the earlier runs we did Nightfall with Brent. He was using the Graviton Lance, and I think it was at some point he figured out how that gun's supposed to work. Yeah. And I just remember when he did that, he started like, having all these void explosions go off. He's like, okay, yeah, this gun's pretty badass. And I remember void was one of the one of the ones that did more damage for the strike we were doing. So
yeah,
seeing them kind of retool and bring that gun up to what they wanted it to be in the first place, so that everyone can have that moment like Brent had with it, I think would be cool.
Yeah.
I didn't use it too much after I got my next weapon that I started using, so I never really got to experience that moment with that myself. So but yeah, that all sounds really great.
Yeah, it's a really cool gun. I always liked firing it. Just like I said, the sound that gun makes when you fire it is really satisfying. And to see that this is the kind of stuff that they're adding to it. It's going to be higher damage, bigger explosions, the void projectiles that come out of it after the explosion, that's awesome too. So it's going to be a much more useful weapon moving forward. And I can't wait to see what they do with the rest of this stuff. So one more story we're going to touch on, and that'll wrap the show up here. THQ Nordic, they've bought Koch Media, who these are the guys behind Saints Row, Metro, and Dead Island. So THQ Nordic, publisher of THQ Nordic has bought Koch Media, which owns the Saints Row, Metro, and Dead Island franchises, in a 121 million euro or pounds? Euro? I think it's euro.
I think it's euros.
In a 120 million euro deal. Koch Media itself runs Deep Silver, which of course has Dead Island and Metro, or the publisher of Dead Island and Metro, of Volition, the Saints Row developer, and Dambuster Studios, the Homefront: The Revolution developer, all of which will come under the THQ Nordic umbrella. There are no plans to restructure following the acquisition, nor any cost-saving measures on the horizon, suggesting that layoffs are unlikely. The original THQ filed for bankruptcy in 2012, if you remember, and the company was dissolved the next year. At the time, Koch Media bought Saints Row developer Volition and the publishing rights to the Metro series. Nordic Games also published a number of THQ IPs and rebranded to THQ Nordic in 2016. The cash deal will see more of THQ's original IPs reunited under the umbrella of THQ Nordic. It also means that certain franchises now have the potential to be reunited with their developer. For instance, THQ Nordic now owns the rights to both Red Faction and Red Faction Guerrilla developer Volition. Koch Media has a long history of profitability, despite losses incurred with some less successful game releases, says THQ Nordic CEO Lars Wingefors. THQ Nordic is convinced that the development studios of Deep Silver, as part of THQ Nordic, will successfully deliver at least 4 ongoing AAA game projects, including Metro Exodus, as well as the next Volition Studio AAA release, and the next Dambuster Studio AAA release, together with a number of other game development and publishing titles. Koch Media CEO Dr. Clemens Kundratitz, it's a fun name to say, added, I strongly believe that THQ Nordic is a great strategic fit with Koch Media. In addition to having long experiences within games developing and publishing, THQ Nordic has the skills, willingness, and capital to deliver growth in the future. So Franklin, I ask you, is THQ Nordic basically THQ once again? It seems like they have pretty much everything back in their stable, right?
Yeah, I don't understand why they just didn't bid more at the auction. I mean, I feel like they might have saved some money, but I a lot of it is really cool to see. I was worried when they acquired the rights to Darksiders and just the way that they had been talking. Like, I thought there was no way that Gunfire or any of the ex-Vigil guys would be working on Darksiders 3, but here we are, Gunfire and half of the ex-core team, and I think even Airship's helping out with it too. So. You have them kind of going back to the people responsible for some of these, and like you mentioned, owning Volition and owning Red Faction. Like, we could get a proper new Red Faction game, and I think that would be freaking awesome. Just because I feel like Volition's kind of, I don't want to say in a rut, but they're kind of like, they're the Saints Row devs, right? And that's kind of what Agents of Mayhem was a little more Saints Row without the name. And I think kind of giving them like Red Faction back and letting them have another crack at it, I think that would be awesome. I've always wondered, like Nordic, how do they make money? Like, what games have they published over the years that would have brought them to a point where they could buy out someone who owns like Deep Silver and all these other properties? And you know what I mean? Like, over the years, like, I've joked because like all their games always get delayed, and maybe they come out, maybe they don't. So obviously that's changed. A lot of their stuff has been hitting dates. They've got their hands in a lot of other things, like they're publishing Rad Rogers. I know This Is the Police did very well for them too. There's another very popular game. So I don't know. I think it's really cool, but at the same time, I still, I want to see things like Dead Island 2. I don't think we need that game. So I'm kind of hoping that they just don't bother with it at this point. But I also really want to see what Dambuster is working on. I know a lot of people are really down on Homefront: The Revolution, but I think like in that game, like it's just nothing like it didn't set the world on fire, but it was also a very competent first-person shooter. I enjoyed what I played of it, so I think that's a very talented team. I think it's a lot of the ex-Crytek UK devs too, so I really want to see what they're working on. Yeah, but I mean, I also too, like, I think it's really cool that they've kind of taken a lot of chances on things that THQ themselves would have done. So it's cool, and also just very strange seeing this other entity kind of make these THQ decisions, but not really be THQ. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a very very roundabout way they went about basically becoming THQ once again. And yeah, I'm going through the list of THQ Nordic games here, and there's a ton of games here that they've published over the last like 6 years, basically 6 or 7 years. So I don't know if it's just a conglomeration of all of the stuff that they've published over the years that have just brought this money in. But yeah, there's a ton of games on here that they've been responsible for. I mean, things like they distributed Halo Wars 2. on Windows, which is if this is to be believed. Obviously, they had the Warmastered edition of Darksiders. They distributed Super Dungeon Brothers. You mentioned This Is the Police. So here they distributed Quantum Break as well on Windows. So I don't know, they have some type of a relationship with Microsoft, I guess, to distribute some of their games on Windows.
Must be in the market over there, I would imagine, over in the
maybe over in Europe, maybe. Whatever. So
I also think it's funny that this is the second Metro game that's coming out, and it's switched hands like damn near the end of development, I imagine, because Exodus is probably due out what we're thinking August. I know Last Light, went from THQ to Deep Silver, and I mean at that point, that game's pretty much almost done, so that's gonna be pure profit for them once they put that thing out, and that game's gonna sell very well, I think. So
yeah, no, definitely. That's there's some big stuff they got in here. What do you think when they mention? Obviously, they mentioned 4 ongoing AAA projects. They mentioned Metro Exodus, and then they mentioned the next Volition Studio AAA release. Do you think Volition returns to Saints Row? Do you think they go back to Red Faction now? What do you think's the move for them?
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on a Saints Row 5.
Yeah.
Just because, like I said, Agents of Mayhem was still very much Saints Row, and I think, them kind of seeing the reception to that, and, people love Saints Row, so I can't imagine that they're not working on a 5th Saints Row game.
Gotcha. Yeah, they mentioned Dam Buster in here, too, so you think Homefront done for them? Move on to something else?
Yeah, I don't think so, but the thing that I'm curious about, no, because I think Crytek still owns it, I was going to suggest that maybe, they finally go and make the next, what the hell am I thinking? Why can't my brain
Crisis?
Work? No. What's the other shooter that... Time Splitters.
Oh, Time Splitters.
But I'm pretty sure Crytek is still sitting on that IP, so I don't think that was part of the buyout. That would have been sweet if they had put Dan Buster on a new Time Splitters game.
But yeah, I used to love me some Time Splitters, man. What do you think about all this, Bender? You got any opinion on Koch Media? I know these games aren't really your thing for the most part. I don't think.
I don't know. Bender liked Darksiders.
Yeah, Bender likes some Darksiders.
I'm looking forward to Darksiders 3, but I need to get through Darksiders 2 before it comes out. I want to, though.
Yeah.
So do I. I should probably do that.
But other than that, no, I don't really have an opinion on these.
Yeah. Darksiders 3, is that due out this year?
Yeah, supposed to be. Yeah.
It's fall.
It looks pretty cool.
Does. Looks sweet. Be a busy year in gaming. But,
right.
Yeah, that's going to do it for us. That's the end of the show. Franklin, where can we find you gaming, tweeting, all that good stuff?
You can find me on Twitter at Viperstrike. That's also where you can find me on PlayStation Network and Xbox Live. Mostly on PlayStation Network because I'm still just obsessed with Monster Hunter. So
if
you need someone to play Monster Hunter with, I'm there.
Won't be changing anytime soon. We'll find you on Monster Hunter. Bender, how about you?
I'm on Twitter at Bender_guitar. I'll also be playing lots of Monster Hunter on PlayStation at me_Bender. I'm on Xbox Live at meBender82. And Nintendo Network, if you want my friend code, just tweet at me or something. I'll give it to you.
That's what's going to be in the update. You can use real names instead of friend codes.
That would be sweet.
Is that going to be the big update?
That's the big update.
As always, I'll be not tweeting at Piccolo930. It's my PSN ID. It's where you can find me on Xbox. It's where you can find me on the Switch as well. Behind that unruly friend code that Bender just referenced. Make sure you're following us on Twitter at The Short Pause. The website's www.shortpause.com. So make sure you come on over there, follow us, check out all the stuff that we post on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You can find, like you mentioned, Brent's review of Pinstripe, Frankie's review of The Fall. Got all of our videos and whatnot that go up there as well. So follow along right there with us. Leave some comments on the articles too. We'd love to hear from you guys. So the podcast you can find on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Google Play. We're on Twitch as well on our Twitch channel. You can follow us on all that stuff on YouTube, on Twitch, on Mixer, Short Pause Gaming, on all of those services. So make sure you follow us on there. Keep up with all the streaming that we do. The Indie Spotlight, once again, will be on YouTube at 10 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday night. We'll have some other games up throughout the week as well. Don't know exactly dates and times yet, though, so just make sure you follow us, and we'll keep you updated on all that kind of stuff. If you like the show, hop on over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, let us know why you like the show, leave us a nice review. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star rating, no problem. Just hop into the comments on the post here, or send us an email, podcast@shortpause.com. Let us know what we can do better, what your thoughts are on the show. We love hearing from you guys. Love to engage in dialogues and whatnot with you. If you have anything you want to say, any questions you want to ask, just want to talk about what we're talking about on the show, we'd love to hear from you guys. Podcast@shortpause.com. Just reach out to us, and we'll get back to you. Make sure you follow Brent as well, at TheDude1979 on Twitter, TheDude79 on PSN, and TheRealDude79 on Xbox. Don't remember what he is on Switch. I think he's TheDude79 in there as well.
It's 723.
Yeah, get out your pens and pencils. But that is going to do it for us. For Frankie, for Bender, I'm Ben. Thanks everybody for listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll be back next week. Hopefully Brent will be back with us then. We'll talk to you guys next time. Adios. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.